I think we are live. Before we get too far, I want to have, if you guys can let me know how the audio is. If it's peaking and you're just like, oh God, my ears, well, peaking, let me know. I've made some adjustments that boosted the audio, but I may have to counter that on another area because I don't know. Or maybe it's still quiet. So it could go either way. Heaven forbid I test this crap before I start. I didn't have time. So I'm like, I'll just hang out with you guys. You guys can tell me what it sounds like. Let's see. Oh, I'm hearing a gat or seeing gat and whoa. Is it loud? Or are you talking about something else? I'm going to wait for a second and see what you guys say. Staring awkwardly. Okay, Jason said it sounds good. Good. Is it louder than it was before? So hopefully that changed a bit. Heather says all good. Good. Okay, so we're buying. We've got, let's see. Yep, it was Alana who is currently sketching out her tree frog really quick. So if you have not already, do that very fast before we get started on this. You want to be, at this stage. So that will make it better for you you don't want to be drawing as we paint. So I told her that in order to buy her a little time to draw, or you guys a little time to draw, if you're still catching up on the drawing, I'm going to share my new plant. He just came a few hours ago, which was actually way too cold. 2 of them came. We'll see how the other one does. This one doesn't seem to be damaged by the cold. They shipped him a day early, which kind of screwed up why I was okay to buy it in the cold. Anyway, this is a Monstera siltipicana. Those of you who collect plants know how awesome this is. This has been on my wish list for a couple of months. I've been trying to find one. Well, I shouldn't say trying to find one. I really only wanted it from Steve's Leaves, which is where I get most of my tropical, fancier stuff, because he's got really good prices for what most of the stuff is, and they're in great condition. Look how pretty he is. Can you see? Yeah. Look at, so pretty. And he's a vining one, or trailing. He will end up, as leaves mature, these ones can develop the cool little tropical looking holes. I don't know. I think they're tropical looking. And if he gets very large, like this vine looks really nice, I may be able to propagate him and get a bit growing in the red-eyed tree frog tank, which I will also tell you about, which is what motivated this project. I think, Heather, wasn't it you who suggested the tree frog? Because I was all excited about mine. I have ordered them. They will be shipped on my 4 red-eyed tree frogs. The vivarium is set up. I'm still messing with making sure the humidity and everything is perfect for them, but I have a large, supernatural looking vivarium set up for them, and they should be here on Wednesday next week. So we'll be talking more about them, I'm sure, next week. Little babies, I'm so excited. So I've wanted these guys for so long. The vivarium build has been in progress for 4 months. That was 3.5 months longer than they told me. And the interesting thing about that, and this actually comes back into art. So let's talk a little bit about that. The experience I had with the company it's a local pet store, reptile store, whatever. This is a good example of what not to do as artists in our commissions. By the way, before we get too far, if you're like, I just want to draw, no talking, Patreon's for you. That's just drawing, no random chatting. I'm just still giving you guys a little bit of extra time in case you need to get your frog drawn out, because he needs to be drawn before we start. Yes, Steve's Leaves is an online site. Just do a Google search for it. I always go through, their website shows stuff that is not currently in stock, so I just sort it by availability. But I've gotten some amazing, my Syndapsis, I've got 2 freaking stunning Syndapsis from him, in Exotica, and what was the other one called? I forget. But anyway, no, wait, I'm sorry. I only got 1 Syndapsis from him. My other one I already had. But I've gotten tons. I've gotten 2 begonias. Everything has come so well. So I can't say enough about Steve's Leaves. Love them. I'm addicted. Fridays, they get new orders in. Usually Thursdays or Fridays. They update their site. Their whole site will freeze up. You'll have this plant I had in my cart. And this is what happened to me last time. I had them in my cart, but their website froze up and I couldn't finish the transaction before they were sold out. So, some people get annoyed by it. It's kind of part of the fun when you're collecting something, that the challenge of getting it. So when I got it this time, I was ecstatic because, I've been trying to get one for a while. So anyway, it's just, be aware of that with their site. Usually Fridays, new stuff goes up. And that's one of the more rare things that they sell out almost instantly. And their whole website freezes up because everyone all over the country is trying to buy from them. So, they have that good of a reputation. So everyone wants stuff from Steve's Leaves. But anyway, going back to the vivarium, and I think this is a good lesson for artists when we take commissions, and it's why I don't take commissions anymore, because I can't provide the service I think is necessary to keep happy customers. That is why I stopped. I just can't keep up with it. And I was doing what these people were doing. And the company that I went with, I'm super glad that they did it. And I'm glad that I waited. And, I'm happy with what I have-ish. They made a lot of promises as far as what they were going to include, including the frogs, including more plants than what I got. And their estimate was a few $100s less than what I paid, than what they ended up charging me. And it was they made like they were going to do discounts because I do the YouTube videos and promote them. And I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bash. I'm not telling you their name. So I'm not like bashing them. I just think it's such a good lesson for artists. Why did I leave with kind of a bad taste in my mouth with them? I will still shop from them, but I'm not going to be singing praises from the rooftops about how amazing they are. They did a good job. I would promote the guy who built the tank, but I was constantly having to call asking like, okay, do you have updates? They told me that they would be the following week. They kept giving me dates. Next week, we'll send you photos of plants so you can pick out what you want. Never happened. They never did do that. And I would text them and they just didn't do it. Then when I finally went in one time, they had just gotten some new plants and I'm like, okay, here's some that I'm interested in. They let me show them what I liked, showed them very specifically what I didn't like. You know what they included? Only what I didn't like. The lack of communication, and I'm not saying they're bad people or anything. The problem is they're so busy all the time. And that's why, I have lenience to them for that. But they shouldn't be taking jobs they don't have time to create happy customers from. And I think this as commission artists, if that's what you do, that's something that you need to think about. Can you provide the experience? Because a big purchase like this is it's essentially a luxury item. Art is a luxury item. So that should be a very fun experience for the person. And if you keep pulling someone's chain, like, okay, a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Oh no, I got sick. I can't do it. Oh no, my car broke down. I can't do it. Oh no, I can't. For every reason in the world, I have not followed through with what I told you I would provide you with. That is not, no matter how good your work is, that customer is not going to be happy. And that's kind of what happened in this one. So like with this tank, if it was going to cost more to get the plants that I wanted, they should have told me that. They didn't. They said they could fulfill what I asked for. I showed them pictures, all of that. If that was the case, they needed to be clear. And that's what you as the artists need to do when you're taking commissions. You need to make sure everything's very clear with the customer. It is not the responsibility of the customer to know what your policies are, to know what will cost extra. So let's say someone wanted a plaid background. I can't even imagine what a pain in the butt that would be to paint. But I'm going to charge extra for that. I need to make sure they know that going in if that's something that they want. So this sort of communication, I think, is just very, very important. And in the case of this business, they're busy all the time. I went in once when we redid my husband has a Western hognose, little snake. So when she got big enough that we upgraded her tank to a larger one, I needed the background for it. And they showed me the ones they have. They're great, but they don't have the size for the tank that they are also saying is a good size for her. So I was like, okay, well, can you order that for me? Well, we won't be placing another order with that company for another 4 months. 4 months. Why? And he goes, I can talk to the manager, but he's just not ordering again for 4 months. But you're out of the things your customers want. Then I'm going to go straight to the company. He's like, well, I don't know if they're sold to the public. No, I can probably get around that being a YouTuber. Usually I can convince people to I'll review your product if you will sell it to me now. So, that's a possibility. And he was just kind of like, okay. But it's like, you can't expect somebody to if you can't provide for your customers, it's going to make you look bad and you're going to have people who are aggravated. And so just as artists, be aware of that. This was so similar to what I see a lot of people deal with artists. And I've seen people make the same complaints where the artist is like, oh, I got sick. Like what I was saying, I got sick, my car broke down, this happened. And then they get mad at the customer for being pushy, thinking the customer should be more understanding. It's not the customer's job to be understanding. The customer paid you to do a job. Either tell them you can't do it or suck it up and give up some sleep and get it done. The customer is only going to care about your excuses for so long. And like in this case, 4 months, so 3.5 months longer than it should have taken was ridiculous. I don't appreciate having to contact someone constantly going, hey, where are you at with this? Hey, where are you at with this? So now, like with those frogs, I'm not buying them from them. I ordered them online from Josh's Frogs. Josh's Frogs has been great. Everything I've ordered, I've gotten a lot of my plants from them. And that was the other thing with the plants. They promised a certain amount of plant, like specific plants that I wanted, a certain type of an alocasia poly. I wanted like certain things. None of it. They had 4 months to get it in, and they have had them in that amount of time, but they didn't hold any of it. Like, just, they didn't follow through with what they said they were going to do. And so that's why I'm unhappy. The tank is stunning. I went in online somewhere else, and now I'm telling everyone how awesome Josh's Frogs is because my experience with them was positive. That doesn't mean I didn't get a good product from the other company. It means the customer service side really does matter that much, because I find myself now telling people, get plants, even if you want for yourself. They have like the Addisonii, Monstera Addisonii, Josh's Frogs has. They have for a good price. Like, they have some really good stuff for people too that isn't just for terrariums, so, or vivariums. So my experience so far, well, we'll see. I don't know if anything happens to the poor baby frogs in shipping. I mean, they're pros at this. They've been doing it for years, so everything should be good. But, and like, they're not shipping it until next week because it's too cold right now. So anyway, that is just a good lesson, I think, for you as artists when you're taking commissions. Be aware of. You can't put it on the customer. It's not my fault if they are getting annoyed with me calling twice a week going, what's going on, when they're not. And you know, it made them uncomfortable every time I called because they had no good answer for me other than, we were too busy again. We, you know, and I'd hear different excuses from different people, like, oh, this is why we couldn't. There was another thing. They couldn't get the certain sort of foam that they needed to finish the tank. I can get it online from Amazon and have it next day to you. Why is this holding this up? Because they wanted to go to their normal vendor. Why? And something this expensive, you're really trying to cheap out on what maybe you would have saved $5 through your normal vendor, but you held it up. That was 2 or 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks was held up just for that. So again, look at how irritated I am. Think of how your customer is going to feel if you were to do the same thing to them. And it was a good wake-up call for me. Not wake-up call, but a good reminder, I should say, for me, and why I'm taking commissions. I can't give, and I try, you know, every once in a while I'll take a small commission, but I don't do them regularly. I don't do portraits normally, unless it's like a friend or a neighbor or somebody who knows they're going to have to deal with my crap. But time is just an issue. And in this case, they're busy and they don't need me to promote them. They probably would rather I didn't. They're too busy. They're too busy to help their customers. They're always busy. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, they are literally, you're going to go in and wait, which is great that a business is doing this well, but they shouldn't have probably taken this job. I'm glad they did, because I love what I got, kind of. I mean, I had to make it better, but anyway, and it felt very incomplete. Like, certain aspects of this were very rushed. When they finally came to install, it took an extra 3 weeks to deliver it because they couldn't get somebody to come, one of their people to come deliver it. Well, then come after hours. Like, I've been waiting for 4 months at this time. Like, at some point you have to step it up. And I think as artists, same thing. At some point you need to step it up and go a little bit above and beyond when you've been dragging someone along for too long. And that's really what irritates me with them. So I paid more, got less, and was held up by 3.5 months more than what was told. I made choices on like the stand that I was putting it on. I would have had my neighbor make me one if I knew I had that much time, something that was close, like it would have been much better. But because of what they told me, and this happened multiple times where they're like, okay, it'll be next week. And I would make a choice, make a purchase based on that. No, nothing. So anyway, there we go. That is what we are, or, you know, a good lesson. And hopefully everyone's got their frog drawn out now. But I think it just was a good lesson. I may make a dedicated video talking about the experience. And again, I don't want to bash them. That's why I'm not giving anyone their name, because I don't think it's worthy of bashing them either. Like, my experience with them was neither fully negative or fully positive. There were aspects of both. So I don't want to, and the guys who I talked to, all but the manager, the store manager's dick, but everyone else, I really did, they treated us very well and everything was good. But yeah, it was, yeah. So anyway, but everyone feels that way about the store manager. So it's not an issue with me. He's, no one likes him. So there you go. Let me go up, see what comments we had. Hi, Chris. Oh, good. Melinda's got her Inktense ready. I almost did watercolor again, and I was like, wait, we haven't done Inktense in a bit, have we? Let's see. Air propagated or clipping? Well, the Monsteras, these are kind of interesting when you propagate them. So here, like my notes, I've got the little aerial root guys. I could technically cut him down here, and this should, you know, that main stem should work. So I would end up taking that cutting and sticking it. I could stick it in my beta tank because the water filters and it has food for them. And I have propagated my some of my pothos that way. You can't kill a pothos, so it's not really that big of a, like, it's not impressive. But I think they're pretty, but the fact that I propagated it that way is not like anything fancy. I could stick it in pearl. I've got a few options, but in this case, honestly, with the humidity in that tank, I could probably just let it callus on the end and just stick it in the dirt because of all of those aerial roots will hopefully pick up enough. So anyway, that's probably what I'll do. Let's see. Jason said, oh, the frog legs. Well, not frog legs. None of them are frog legs. Let's see. DJ said, isn't the frog you have already a red-eye tree frog? No, the frog I have that is in, can you see? He's here. He's going to move into that tank. But he is a poison dart frog. He's a Santa Isabel, if you want to look up what he looks like. I was so close to getting a photo last night and he darted. I say he teleported. He's so fast. They hide a lot, but you get to hear him make the cutest chirp. Like my house sounds tropical all the time when he's chirping all day. I love him. I need to get him a girlfriend. Let's see. We'll get caught up on these and then we'll get started. I'm just going to go through the questions really quick or comments. Minnow said, following along with watercolor pencils, as I needed a lot of practice. Watercolor pencils, good choice. That will be very similar. I'll try to remember to point out when I'm doing something that you'll do a little bit different. Mainly just the watercolor pencil, your layering process might be a little different. Let's see. Jason said, can you use the paint that you just showed us as an added, or the plant you just showed us as an added part to the project tonight? There is no chance of me getting to that, unfortunately. I mean, it'd be cool, but we'd be here all night. I like the idea. I just need more time. Oh, that just jumped too far. Where were we? Want to make sure I get everybody really quick. Let's see if I can go through this quick. Okay. Nillybug said, that's exactly why I've not taken on commissions, because of my health, and I just know I couldn't provide the quality and service that I want to give that I would expect as a customer. Yes, and so here's an alternative. Let's say you know you can't provide that. I can make a finished painting. It is ready to go, and put that for sale. So you can still make a profit. You can still sell your work. I just wouldn't do the commission side of things. So like even with this company, this tank over here that you can't see, it's actually really pretty. It's a primarily bromelide tank. Bromelide. I can never say it right. It's a brom tank. So that tank, that's going to be for the dart frogs. And that one was already made. So it's like that. I'm comfortable going in and being like, okay, this is what I want, and I can take it home. But the commission seems to be the things that's where the ball was dropped. Sarah said, I'm going to be following along in watercolors. Oh, got a couple of watercolor people here tonight. Casey said, this is the most peaceful rant I've heard in a while. Well, and it's funny because the rant is not like, I'm not angry. I think it's a good lesson for us artists to like reflect on how us as the business owner providing a service, how it can leave a bad taste in the customer's mouth if we just don't quite live up to the promises we made. And I think that was my problem with this company. If they would have said, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. Done. Not a problem. It was worth it. It was worth every penny I paid. So I'm not mad about that. If they would have said, it's going to take 4 months, not a problem. Go for it. Do it. That's the difference there. It was a lack of communication. Or, hey, this doesn't include the amount of plants you said you wanted, but we can get them for you, or you can, which they said they could and they didn't. Or you can, like in this case, I went online. I bought so many amazing plants that I'm so happy with from Josh's Frogs. So the end result of all this, that tank, I've been messing with it more. I took some clippings from some of my other terrariums and put it in there. It looks amazing. I'm so in love with this. So it's like, I love the end result. So even if you're an artist thinking, I'm going to do the best job ever, that's great, but it's still not good enough. You know, you've got to have both aspects to have a truly helpful or happy customer. Let's see. DJ said, it's so cold out tonight, Burr. It's supposed to snow tonight. Oh, I am not happy about this weather at all. Do not like it. Oh, you're in Canada. You're really cold. I'm in Texas. It's like 39 right now, and I think I'm dying. I'm not happy. Good. Alana is ready, so that's good. Let's see. Thanks, Naomi. She says, I always love your listening to your rants. Let's see. Lottie said, how do you keep the dart frog from escaping? There's nowhere for him to get out of either of these tanks. They're just set up in a way that they're completely enclosed, which is good because they need their humidity to be like 90% up to 100%. So it helps in keeping the humidity really really high. So yeah, there's no way for him to get out. Nillybug, I'm going to butcher your name all night. You could even correct it for me and I'm still going to butcher it because I suck like that. So that's exactly what I've been doing. Yes, I feel so much better about having a finished piece to sell and I can take as much time as needed. Yeah, and even like, okay, so somebody contacted me, we'll come back to that. But somebody contacted me this week. They had Christmas or birthday money to spend and they want to know what I have available. She contacted me Friday. I didn't see the message till I think Monday I saw it. And I already felt bad about that. It went to my spam folder, so I just didn't see it. So when I contacted her, she's still waiting for photos. That's one of my plans, one of many plans. God, tomorrow's going to be so busy. This has been a crazy week because we had repairs on the house, like the 1-year warranty stuff. So it's just been a very hectic week. But I'm like, I'm even in that case, she's just waiting for photos of finished work. And so I'm trying to like let her know. And I'm reminded myself of what I dealt with the reptile place. And I messaged her earlier, like, hey, just, you know, I didn't forget about you. Because that, even if the reptile place would have done that a bit more, it would have been less annoying, you know, like to just keep me updated. So yeah, that was one more thing. Like, I've got the paintings are done. She just needs to see what I have available and see if any of her them are what she, yeah. So Leisha, and I love that you brought this up, Leisha. Leisha said, words are hard t-shirt. Yay. Yes, thank you. Ordered it today. So excited. Thank you so much for ordering. So if you haven't seen, we've got merch now. There should be a bar under the title. If not, I posted the link over on Facebook. I think just on Facebook. Did he do it? Yeah, I think it was just Facebook. But we have the words are hard and the I may regret this. Let's find out, which I'm sure we're going to have happen tonight. But those two t-shirts, and I think there's some, like even dog shirts, which are cute. Unfortunately, won't fit my dogs, but those are available. And coffee mugs, those are available in the merch store. So finally, something new. I ordered mine. I got the I may regret this. Let's find out shirt for myself. So yeah. I'm excited. I am super selfish, and the main reason I wanted to get those done is because I wanted the t-shirt. So yeah. Okay. So on to this guy. I'm going to be applying my base layers with this is the Derwent Inktense blocks. And I actually put the camera on here so you can see how I mix those as I'm going. And the first thing that I want to do is just block in my background. Now, the nice thing is with the Derwent Inktense, if I completely screw up and I make a mess and it gets onto this, no big deal. Use my white Inktense block, you see here, and we just cover it and then paint over it, and it is hardly noticeable. So it is very, very forgiving. If you do that in watercolor, you can sometimes just lift it because the watercolor is not going to be permanent where the Inktense is. So it's a little bit of a different way of tackling any potential mistakes or mess ups. So what I'm going to do for him, no one's going to be surprised. I'm going to go with teal and olive greens for his background. I'm going to have to do this in a couple of layers, and I'm going to try to go kind of fast. I'm going to turn this around because I want to spend more time on the frog than anything else. And I'm not going to worry about making like everything solid. I'm just going to get a little bit of kind of around here. I'm not going edge to edge on mine. So with this, we've already got some green here. We've got some teal. Let's pull this guy out here. I need to clean, can you see? Here we go. I need to clean these little guys here up because that is going to be, it would mix in with the purple that's there. So I'll show you how I do that. Let's see. Oh, a few more. Moody Roan said, a place where I buy my brushes in Michigan, it says on their website, all low Cornell products have been discontinued by the manufacturer. I thought I would pass it along. Interesting. Although not surprising because you can't find them anymore. Like I've had a hard time finding them for a while. That's why I've got the Simply Simmons has kind of been my alternative to that. Melinda said, tomorrow I start on a mural on my daughter's bedroom wall in her new house. Send me good vibes. I need it. Good juju. I need it. Yes, have fun. So post photos. I want to see what it comes out like. Jason said, Lisa, it was around 30 degrees last week when I was and when I was walking the dogs, I was wearing shorts. Today I was wearing sweatpants and a light jacket. Yeah, I don't like it. Do not like it. Clark Fine Art said, congrats on the new merch. Thank you. Pauline said, I purchased 2 of your shirts today. I'm hoping they will bring me inspirations to finish my eagle. That is awesome. And thank you. Naomi said, I need the words are hard shirt as I'm always mixing up my words. Off to bed so I can catch the rest tomorrow. Good night, Naomi. Casey said, I have made absolutely no art progress in the last month. Been very busy as it is far down on the list. This looks fun though, so I'm going to do it in pastels on Canson. Nice. Okay, so I've got 2 brushes I'm going to use. These are both, technically they're like golden or Taklon bristled, golden Taklon bristled filberts, but the Simply Simmons brushes are always a little bit more firm than most others. So actually this one's an oval wash, but where's my water? Come over here. We need you. Oh, I am not as ready as I thought I was. I knew I was going to forget something. Let me just scooch some stuff over. Don't want to hurt that new plant, baby. So I'm just going to take I'm going to throw my paintbrush on the floor first, but I'm going to take a paper towel and some water. I can start with a paintbrush. I'm just going to wipe this area out. It will reactivate. So it's permanent, like on fabric, which I've never tried myself, but I know it is permanent on fabric. I filled that water way too full. And on your paper, of course, but on plastic, you can reactivate it. And I'm just going to wipe that out because that is in there really thick. I need some more paper towels really quick. I always go through a lot of paper towels when I work in Inktense. Now, in this case, I don't want to use the Viva paper towels. Oh, making a mess. I don't want to use the Viva paper towels like what I use on whether it be oil painting or colored pencils with OMS. I want to use just Bounty, or any paper kind. So let's go ahead and wipe that out again. Get as much out. I don't care if it's if a little bit of the purple gets in. I just don't want it this crazy. Thanks, Blue Shadow. Gypsy Heart said, I learned a lesson with commissions recently. My dad always pays for his commissions. My dad always pays for his commissions. Asked me to design a logo for his new business. He loved it, and then I got thanks. Like, what, Dad? Wait, what? I am not reading that right. I learned a lesson with commissions recently. My dad always pays for his commissions. Asked me to design a logo for his new business. He loved it. And then I got oh, so he didn't pay you? That's funny. And have fun with that. Let's see. Jason said, Lisa, cleaning. Wow, how is your paint sprayer doing with being cleaned? Yeah, I've not done that yet either. Gypsy said, I totally learned my lesson there. No matter what their track record, always negotiate a price beforehand, even with family who I never had issue. Yeah, definitely. Nick said it also reactivates on sanded paper. Oh, that is interesting. I didn't even, because it's non-absorbent, so that makes sense. I'm glad to know that. I had not even thought about that. This is a lot dirtier than I thought it was. So it's taken a little bit more to clean it all out because it was on there so thick. Okay. Good enough. So I've got that one, and then I said I wanted an olive green. Kind of olive. So what I'm going to do first is mix my batches. I'm just adding water with the brush, and I'm going to mix my ink mixtures first before I bother with the water there. Because even if this starts to dry out, I can reactivate it by putting more water, and so it's going to be a lot easier. If I put the water on my project over there and then have to sit here and mix my little mixture up, it is going to, it's not going to end well. So I'm going to mix this first. Those of you, if you were using watercolor, you don't really typically have to do this. I guess if you had watercolor pans, but I'm going to mix a decent amount of it. I'm not saying I need that much, but I'm going to. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So then I'm going to do the same thing with this turquoise teal type color. And I just want a soft background. I'm not trying to copy my reference photo. The reference photo, by the way, is over at patreon.com/Lachri. I picked this one up at Unsplash, and that is where you can get it. Well, get it over at Patreon. You could find it on Unsplash, though, yourself if you didn't want to go there. You don't have to be a member to get it from Patreon. I just mix that in and wipe the brush, get some more water, do the same thing. I'm probably making way more than I need, but these blocks really do last a long time. So now the blocks, when you buy them, it almost makes it seem like I was under the impression, and I think that's how they're intended to be used, that you would just take the block and go straight on the paper that way. The problem with that, or the problem I had and why I don't use that method, is that it's bumpy and grainy, very gritty looking. You don't get that smooth look that I personally prefer. So what I do instead is make my little mixtures in the side here. Well, I guess this is part of the intent, or they wouldn't give you the little cup things. But I make the little mixture on the side and paint it on. And that's what gives me that super, super smooth finish, like really not grainy. Nellybug said, do you have the full 72 set of blocks? I do. I'd like to get a set soon. I have a few, but probably smaller set. I do. If you're not aware, by the way, it's my artwork on the tins now, which is kind of fun. So the sea turtle you get, I actually have the old tin here, but they really do last a long time. But yeah, this is the larger set, but yeah, the smaller set's good too, because you can mix your colors. You don't have to have every single color. As you can see, I've had this set for, when did I start using Inktense? Years ago. And I've been using the same set of blocks. I've had to replace the black and the white. Those I have to get. But they're available open stock. I think I got mine from blick.com. Lisa said, hi, Lisa, any tips for blending acrylic without an airbrush? Mine sadly broke. Paint fast. And you can also, if you're just misting, grab one of these. This is the Delta Artist Fine Mist, Ultra Fine Mist Sprayer, but you can get on Amazon ones for like beauty products, but the Ultra Fine Mist Sprayer, it's not as good as an airbrush, but it works really well. I love that thing. So that may be a good way to go. And they're fairly inexpensive. I mean, like under $12, so less than an airbrush. Heather said, I broke small pieces of the blocks and basically ground them into powder, so all I have to do is add a bit of water. It made things easier to do the washes in large areas. That definitely works. Gypsy Heart said, now that you've done some pieces on the Can Send Me 10's pad, is it the same as the individual sheets or do you notice a subtle difference? I wouldn't say I've done enough to notice it that big of a difference. It almost feels like maybe it's a little bit smoother in the pad than the other one. I remember the other ones, the individual sheets being a little, I want to say fuzzier, if that makes sense, but it may be a difference of the color too. Casey said, just to clarify, you don't have to be a member to get the reference photo, but you do have to make an account. No, you shouldn't. Because I've logged in, or I've gone on this computer and I'm not logged in this computer. I have there's nothing, no account, and I was able to download it to this computer. So you shouldn't need to. Let's see. Unless they changed something, but I checked that before and you didn't need it. Okay, so I'm just going to start adding water around the frog, and and I've got a little already on the leaf. What will happen is when I go to blend, it's going to make it easier for me to get really smooth blending on the Inktense, like where I'm blending those two colors together. But because I'm not putting this on the frog, I'm going around him, it won't bleed into him as bad as it would if I didn't do this. Like it helps me to get smooth without too like messy all over the place. I used to just mask out my subject with masking fluid, which you can do. Masking fluid is a pain in the butt. If you have used it, you know that stuff is just kind of a pain to work with. So if I can avoid it, I would like to do so. Now, normally I recommend using, I'm going to switch to a larger brush as I get the big areas now. Normally I recommend using it has a little color. I can see where it's putting it then. Words again, still hard. A water-soluble graphite pencil is what I normally use to do my backgrounds, like, my outlines, because that way I don't end up with any pencil lines showing. Here, I didn't. I used a 4H regular pencil, except for right there. That one's water-soluble graphite, and a couple spots where I drew it with that because it was in here. The only reason that I used a normal pencil in this case is I was in my office instead of the other end of the house. I am extremely horribly lazy. Like seriously, I am such a lazy person. I don't want to move. I'm not lazy in that I don't want to work. I just don't want to move. That's probably where I ended up with clothes fitting issues. But anyway, went over the frog. I'm gonna have to watch that when I fill it in. So I am now going to grab some olive green. I happen to just have the normal, it's not that olive, whatever. I guess if I want more olive, let's grab some of this yellowy color. Throw that in there too. There we go. That's the color I want. Anyway, it just happens to be the color I had available. So that is what I used. Because I'm lazy. But what will happen now is my frog, his outline will always show a little bit through this. It's not going to completely work its way out like a water-soluble graphite would. So that's just something to be aware of. Use the turquoise color. I want to go quick while this is still wet so that it blends the way I want it to. Now, I don't know what this is actually called. I have no idea ever what colors are called on the Inktense blocks, because once you've used them a few times, they kind of work their way out and you can't really see that information anymore very well. Need a little bit more water now so I can let these blend together. I'll just pull that leaf going off the page since I kind of made a mess there. I want to make sure that background goes all the way up to the frog. We don't want an outline there. I would rather overlap onto him a little bit than not quite go up to him. Same thing with the leaf. I like it. I'm calling it good. know, get that area. I'm not unhappy with this at all. Actually, I'm kind of excited because it looks a little better than I thought it would right off the bat. So let's go ahead and dry this and we can start on the frog. Hair dryer time. So what you see where I keep touching it, the reason that I'm doing that, I'm feeling for areas that are raised or bumpy and making sure I really put a lot of heat on that hair dryer in those areas because hair dryer in those areas because it's going to shrink it down flat into place. So that is why I was touching that as I went. Once it was dry to the touch. I just wanted to make sure the paper shrunk back down to where I wanted it. Let's see. Casey said, oh, okay, when I first did it, talking about the Patreon reference photos, it wouldn't let me, and I didn't know why. It wasn't until 10 plus tries later it told me I needed an account. I wonder, the only thing I can think of is some people have had trouble when they went from the front page instead of opening the post. The post is public, so anyone should be able to. I'm not sure why that happened to you. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Heather said, best reason not to use masking fluid. I'm highly allergic to latex. That'll do it. Cat's Art Pig said, on the Inktense, do the Inktense blocks work well on canvas? I've not tried. I need to. I know they would be fine on like watercolor canvas would be great. I don't know on regular canvas. I've just not tried it. Terry said, could you please repeat what you said about the airbrush? So if you're using an airbrush to keep your paint wet and you don't want to use your airbrush, an alternative, not quite as good, but still good, is this one is the Delta Ultra Fine Mist Water Sprayer. I got this one from Dick Blake, and this gives a fine, fine mist. Not quite as good as the airbrush. This still will have some heavy water droplets, which can be a bit inconvenient, but the convenience of just grabbing this really quick, I'm finding myself using this more than the airbrush that's right there. Like this is really convenient. I really like that guy. You can also get, they're not made as sturdy feeling, but you can get from, there's paint on the side of it. You can get them from Amazon. Just look for Ultra Fine Mist Sprayer. They're like in the beauty section. Alex said, you're really good at this, like another artist called Upari Art. Thank you. I don't know who they are. Blue Shadow said, what gave you the passion to start drawing a YouTube channel and draw? I've just drawn my whole life. That's just what I do. And it's just a long story that I feel it's just a long story. Sum it up, health issues. I drew a lot because I wasn't like feeling that well to go out and ride my bike all the time as a kid. It wasn't like I could never ride my bike. It just wasn't a all the time thing. Because I did feel so crappy so often. So I painted and drew a lot. And then I went that route as a profession. And then for YouTube, a friend of mine, Jaime Jimenez, he suggested, I was doing a lot of videos on, or not videos, I was doing rows like back, God, I don't even think they exist. Flickr. I mean, do you guys remember Flickr? Is it still there? But it was a photo site and I would do like the time, like in progress shots of the artwork. And my friend Jaime was like, hey, you should do a, let's see, I'm going to put the green, just a base of a yellowy green. You should put, I'm going to go with the one that is way too bright, but we'll go darker on top of it. He goes, you should make a video and put it on YouTube. And Jaime has always given me the best art advice. So I was like, hey, good idea. I think I'll do it. And I did. And that's how it started. And it really was just supposed to be a way for me to have a something to add on to my website. I didn't realize at the time you could even subscribe to a YouTuber. Like that wasn't at all what I was thinking when I did it. I just wanted somewhere where you could see the progress and then have that. I was trying to fancy up my personal website, and that's how that started. So yeah, it was not my intent, that's for sure. See, I'm just mixing on the block. I'm just using it like a watercolor pan. So I'm really glad he made that suggestion. I'm glad I had learned years ago, if Jaime suggests something, do it, because he has always given me such good advice when it came to art. Let's see. Whoops, that just scrolled too far. Come back. Where were we? Susan said, Lisa, have you used the Inktense on canvas? I have not. I need to. I keep saying I need to, and I just haven't. Skylar said, God, I have no idea on Flickr. Used it once, shrug. Lou said, I'll probably be buying the fine luminous sprayer to replace my airbrush until I can afford a new one. I've got a project due pretty soon. That tip help block. Oh, good. Yeah, it's pretty. I didn't think I would like it very much because, I mean, one of the things with the airbrush is that it is such a fine mist. So it's not as, like, it's as fine, but you're more likely to have a few random heavier droplets, which sometimes can be annoying to blend out, but it's doable. And yeah, I'm really happy with, oh, see, I missed part of the background there. I'll be having to fix that. I'm really happy with the results that I get with it. And I'm lazy enough that I find myself reaching for that now more than my airbrush when I just need to mist water real quick. And I don't care if this is too blotchy or anything like that, because I'm going to be making it blotchy later anyway. So just figuring out about where it goes. And if you do it on an, or like add this to an area and realize, oh crap, it doesn't go green, green's not supposed to be there, just let it dry and go over it with your white Inktense block and cover that area up. It's a very easy fix with these. If you're working in watercolor, if you put it in the wrong place, you can let it dry and then go over it with your watercolors, like lift it with water. And I should try that again. You can, if you put it in the wrong place while it's still wet, you can try to lift that with water. That words is hard, or hard t-shirt never seems so fitting. I may have to go order myself that one tonight too. I just got the notification that the one I ordered a few days ago shipped. So I'm excited. Oh, Cletus is talking. He knows I'm painting his buddies. He doesn't know anything, but I can pretend because I am a crazy person who spends too much time at home by herself. Let's see. Nancy said, on my phone, went to your homepage on Patreon, scrolled to tonight's photo, clicked and saved photos. Worked fine. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know what causes the problem for where some people are having, I don't know if it's an issue of Mac versus PC. I don't know. Okay, so I think that's most of, oh wait, we've got a little bit of his green body here. Like I said, we'll be doing a lot of shading and such. Oh, actually, that's the background there. I had the same problem when I drew this. I was kind of confused on what was leg and what was background. It's not a huge deal, but let's pull a little bit in here. It's getting a little dark. I should add more water. So the thing with Inktense, if you want to lighten the color up, you're not going to lighten it by adding white. Lighten it by adding water. Let it be more translucent and let the white of the paper show through. That's the best way to get a lighter version of whatever color you want. So let's say you want pink. Take the red and just thin it down a whole bunch with water. And what I would recommend doing when you're working with Inktense, have a scratch piece of paper, a scratch pad, where you can test colors, because sometimes they do not look the same on the block or on the pencil as they do on the paper. If that's something that you are concerned with being accurate. We all know I am not. Okay, I'm going to move this on. And I may be coming back to that. So I just drooled. Nice. The brush that I'm using here, this is a round number 4. It's just another tack on bristle brush. Let's see. Gypsy Heart said, if I wanted to add a touch of Inktense to a piece done in just water-soluble graphite, would it smudge it around and gray the color, or could I go over it gently to not disturb it? If the water-soluble graphite was completely blended out, it goes on top pretty well. Very little will smudge with a graphite. Test it on another piece of, test it on another piece of paper, but I've had good luck putting Inktense over water-soluble graphite. Okay, and for some reason, at some point when I mixed magenta, I thought I needed to use all the spots for the magenta, because that makes sense. See, this is what happens when you're lazy. You catch yourself doing something like that that actually makes more work for you later on. Like, why was I using all the spots for magenta? Jason said, is Gibson okay? No movement or odd positions? Gibson's over there. Well, he does look like a normal dog. Weird. Wade is the cow behind us. My house cow. Gibson's our house horse. Wade is the house cow. Okay, that's probably enough. Hello, Shiny said, hi, Lisa. The blocks look delicious. I have the pencils, but I haven't used them much. I get frustrated because the color on the end is always wrong. Yep, but I like them. Yeah, and that is why you want to test, because it is not, it's weird how inaccurate that color is. Like, I love them, but it is very not, yeah, always test if you're not familiar with a certain color. So I'm going to go with kind of an orangey red for his eyes. We'll block that in. And the cool thing with that is it's very easy. If I put this on and go, oh, that's too much orange, I'd rather have more red, just layer it on top. No big deal. I do want to make sure this is a little thinner though. Hold on, let me get my scratch paper ready. This brush is a little frayed at the edge. It's not ideal for what I'm doing here. Every time that little frog chirps, it makes me so happy. Like, seriously, I hardly ever see him. Like, once or twice a day I'll see him, and then he darts back under a leaf. But my God, listening to him all day is so adorable. Oh, well, we have this color. We can use the same color on the leaf. So let's go ahead and pull some more of that. Which one did I use? I think it was this one. Oh, let's see. Lottie said, if you were going to illustrate a children's book, which medium would you use? Probably this one, because this medium is extremely fast. You can get some really cool looks with it. It's definitely a very versatile medium. So I would say, oh, a little bit more pigment there. I would say I would probably go with the Inktense. Watercolor, I think, is a good choice too. But those would probably be what I would use. Make sure you do not pull this red into the area you want yellow, because it is going, your yellow, you would have to then paint it white, let it dry, and then put the yellow on top. The yellow is not going to show up over the red. The red is going to be too dark or too opaque. Too dark is a better way to word that one. Heather said, did you know that they released a set two of the Inktense portable plastic holder? They complement the first set. Well, yeah, I saw that. I haven't talked to Derwent in a while. They had a bunch of stuff they were going to send me and never got around to it. And then I get busy and forget to contact them, which is not good on my end. So I probably should like reach out to them, just be like, hey. Whoops, see, I just went over that too. That's okay, that'll be orange. We'll make it work. Don't get too worked up when something doesn't go quite as you had planned. Don't like kick yourself and get really frustrated with it, or like, nothing is that big of a deal. And this is not blending super well, so I'm going to do what I did on the background. I thought that I would be doing this fast enough, but I'm not. So I'm going to just go ahead and fill this in with water and then put the red on top so that it'll transition a little bit smoother. Because once that dries, it is going to be very streaky. There we go. That is much better. And if it gets to where it's like just globbing all over, just dab it on your paper towel. I would rather have you do more layers than try to get it done at once and make a mess. it's easier to control it in more layers if you need some. Like this is not dark enough. I'll dry and go over it again. Not a big deal. Actually, I'm going to dry this now because it is starting to buckle quite a bit. So let's make sure it dries back into place nicely. Okay. Oops, that just rolled too far. Does Wade go moo? Kinda. He makes some weird sounds. He more huffs. Nick said, Sharon asks, what difference do you feel as an artist working with Inktense versus watercolor? Inktense is permanent. So when I layer on top of this, this stays put. So it's more like working with acrylics in that sense. Whereas with watercolor, if I put a layer on top, it's going to blend a bit in with what's already there. It reactivates it. And you can lift watercolor. You can't do that with Inktense. So one of them is like I work a little bit different in how I glaze with Inktense than how I work with watercolor because of that. Creative Goddess said, I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but what tape are you using to hold down your piece? Not Archival. I'm using regular cheap masking tape, and I will cut this in. So anywhere where the tape touched is off the work, because that is not, it's not Archival, and some of that stickiness will stay on the work. So normally what I recommend is not this. Do I have any over here? Not in reach. Get an Archival acid-free. It's a black tape. I don't know where mine is. I'm running out and I keep forgetting to order it. So I'm like, I'll use the cheap stuff. But that is what you want to go with. An acid-free, pH neutral, black masking tape. And you can get it on Amazon. Clark said, finally heard him chirp. That's too cool. It's so adorable. You can hear him too. Like it carries through the whole house. It's adorable. Melinda said, I don't like to swatch, but I did swatch my Inktense. It helps a lot. One of my students swatched for me, but I don't usually go grab it. And then I'm like, well, which one was that? Which blue? Because I can't see on the mark. So I just test on another piece of paper, or I just go for it and just hope for the best. Going with that. I may regret this. Let's find out. Like that is Inktense for me. Let's see. Jason said, I am so not good with names. Geez, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. I have a real problem with that too. DJ said, I love my frog. I had for listening to him croak. It was so relaxing to hear. I really miss hearing him. Yeah, I'm hoping with some of the baby, get new ones? I'm hoping for it with the baby red-eyed tree frogs that at least one of them ends up being a male, because you're going to hear the barking then. And I really want to hear their barking. Hello Shiny said, have you tried the graphite white with other media? I've started to use just the white with my normal colored pencils and marker art. It's very opaque, pretty handy. The problem is, if you put it down first, great, but that wouldn't make sense for your wire is moving. Hold on, readjusting myself. That's not tacky at all. If you're dealing with a water-soluble product and you're putting it on top of a wax or oil-based product, it's not Archival. Don't use it. People do it and they're like, oh no, it's great, go for it. People will give you some of the worst advice online. It's not Archival. Graphite is water soluble. So just keep that in mind. If you put graphite down first and then go over it with your colored pencil, you're fine. But it sounds like you're doing the reverse. You're using it for highlights. Yeah, no, don't recommend it. It's not. I mean, if you're just doing it for yourself, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to sell that work, it is not Archival now. Let's see. Julie Stone said, speaking of dog cows, last time at the dog park, there was a black and white piebald Great Dane. He was heads higher than my 70-pound red and white greyhound. Oh my gosh. Somebody, actually, one of the guys who was here yesterday, or no, he was the day before, doing the air conditioner stuff, Gibson was obsessed with him. Well, Gibson loves everybody, but he thought he was a Great Dane. I'm like, wow, you have not been around very many Great Danes, have you? He was a nice guy, though. I'm going to go with this kind of orangey yellow color, but there's green on it. I need to wipe that off first because that is going to create a mud, a nasty, not good. So make sure your block is clean in that case. In a color like this, I do not want that grayish color from the black, whatever green was on there mixing in. Let's see. Whoops, that's rolled too far. Here we go. Alana said, using watercolor pencils tonight, and I've never used watercolor before. Can I let a layer dry and then add another layer on top, or is it one layer, one and done? Oh, you can absolutely layer. The difference is with watercolor, your next layers will kind of stick on top. Hold on, my cord is like yanking on this. This is going to affect the... It is not wanting to stay in place tonight. I didn't do a good job of setting that up, but it keeps twisting around and pulling weird when I move. Anyway, no one cares. Moving on. That is why I was sticking my hand up my shirt. With the, let's see, the watercolor pencil. So when you put your layer down and you put your next layer on top of that, your previous layer will mix in a little bit with it. Not like crazy. It's not completely reactivating as much as, let's say, the, what are those markers that I like so much? The Winsor & Newton pigment markers, those like really reactivate. It's not that much, but it is reactivating. So, you know, just be aware of that as you're working, that whatever you put on top. So let's say you had yellow and you start mixing a violet on top, they're going to blend in a little bit. And so that violet and yellow, when mixed together, you're going to get kind of a grayish tone. So that is, or not grayish, kind of a brownish neutral tone. So, you know, just be aware of that. But yeah, you absolutely, like I layer a lot with watercolor. It's just a little bit different and the results you get when you do layer with them. Now, some of this I've got gaps where that red leaf needs to fill in. No biggie, because that's mostly shadows anyway, so we'll fill that in later. Just kind of messy, blocking in his toes. And it's always easier to go a little bit lighter. Same with watercolor. Go lighter than what you think you need the end result to be. You can keep going back and making it darker. You can lighten it to an extent, but it's easier if you don't need to. I'm going to use that same yellow, maybe a little bit of a lighter yellow for the edge here. Lori Boot said, hi, Lisa. I missed earlier. What paper are you using? So pretty. Thank you. I'm using Arch's hot press watercolor paper, the one with the pink label. Huge fan of Arch's. They kind of took over they're closer, I think, to what Fabriano Artistico Extra White hot press watercolor paper, the 140 pound. They're a little bit closer to what they used to be. So this is my go-to alternative. I mean, the Fabriano's okay. It's just not as good as what it was. What was I just about to do? I did that and thought, hey, I need to do this really. I don't remember what it was. It's kind of my life. Me going, wait, what was I going to do? I don't remember. Let's see. Sarah said, I'm a couple of steps behind you, but I've decided not to worry about it. I'm just going to work at my own pace. Absolutely. And that is a good thing to bring up. Don't try to rush to keep up. You guys can go back and rewind and come, like most people don't paint, most professional artists don't paint as fast as I do. It's, and I actually didn't know that until I was teaching at that Let's Art Party, the place where you drink wine, or like the people would drink wine while somebody walked them through, kind of like the paintings with a twist, but better, that our teachers actually were artists, but, or, knew how to paint, but they, apologies to those of you who do know how to paint and teach at those. There are a handful of you out there. It's just not the norm. But anyway, I would get like 3-4 sample paintings done while the other artists were still working on the first. I didn't realize it. I'm just off in my own little world, getting the stuff I needed to get ready for my lessons. And so it was always surprising to me. One of the girls used to joke that my videos were not actually sped up. That was just how fast I painted. So kind of funny. But no, it's a good point. Like, don't try your speed and how fast you paint or draw is no indication of how skilled you are or how good you are of an artist or how good your end result will be. So don't feel like because I've had that happen a lot where students were like, but I can't paint that fast. And they felt like they weren't doing as good of a job. And it's like, that has nothing to do with how good your work is going to be. Take whatever time you need to get it done. Julie said, let's see. Just for Lachri Fun Hour, we'll like the cute frog. Thank you. That just scrolled too far. Scrappin said, hi Lisa, I bought the first set in the portable Inktense palettes and they cut up 7 extra colors from the blocks to make 19 pans in one palette. Saw this hack on YouTube. Nice. That sounds cool. Gypsy Heart said, ooh, I bet he would look awesome done in pigment marker. I think so too. Actually, I did one. I think it was Red-Eyed Tree Frog. I know I did a frog in, actually I've done a couple of frogs, but the first live stream I did was with the pigment marker. Ooh, I'm going to need some water on that. Was with pigment markers I'm pretty sure it was the Red-Eyed Tree Frog that I did. My very first live stream ever. Well, no, not my very first live stream ever. My very first, I think, when I was trying to actually paint live. I'm going to use purple as my shadow here. I'm not even going to worry about it. And I'm going to put the highlights back with the white pencil. So that's why I'm going darker and not worrying about the fade. Like he has a fade from orange. You can put a little bit, but I have to be careful because this up against the purple is going to muddy a bit. So we can get the reflection a little bit coming this way. I don't want to overdo that and just create absolute mud. Although actually, this whole section is a little bit muddy, so we can get away with that. I'm going to use orange now. Now that I decided to do the thing I said I wasn't going to do, I'm going to use some orange to get some deeper shadows. Just in a couple spots. I'm going to add some yellow. Yeah, I think frogs in general are like the pigment markers work so well with these guys. Heather said, I need to be your virtual assistant to help you remember things if nothing else. Yes, write everything down for me. Skylar said, where do you recommend getting Arches paper? I think the batch I'm using now I got from Amazon. What color did I oh, yellow. I've also gotten it from Blick. I don't remember if I've bought it from Jerry's or not. Those are kind of my go-to places. But this one isn't the watercolor block. It's just a pad. And so it was a lot cheaper. Let's get some purple. It's kind of a brighter magenta type purple. No, I actually should go with more of a blue purple. Change my mind. Much better. Lock in his leg here. And a lot of what we're going to do is going to be done with the pencils once we get this mapped out. I'm going to go with a bright blue for part of his arm. I don't have enough water on that. And I know I don't have enough water because it's too dark and it is not blending. He's going to need some yellow. Let's go with a brighter yellow here. Again, just mapping it out. We can get the shadows and such later. Uh-oh, I may have to text my neighbor to ask her to bring the dogs back in. We'll see if they keep barking. I need that to dry. That's going to dry a lot lighter than what it is. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm making my ink mixture and I'm making it thick with the white. The areas that I wanted to be a lot lighter, and this is going to dry very opaque. So it won't look like it now, but it will dry that way. So areas where I just want a bit lighter. That's probably good. And most of the rest of this, oh wait, I will use a paintbrush for that line in his eye. Although I think I'm going to come back and do that later. Yeah, it'd be easier for me to do that later, so I'm not going to worry about that just yet. So I'm going to put these to the side. We're going to dry this, and then I'm going to switch over to my pencils. And you can do everything with just the pencils or just the blocks. You don't have to mix the two. It's just so much easier, I think, when you do mix them. Now, I wouldn't recommend using the pencils, and I know some people do it, but I don't recommend using the pencils on wet paper because you damage the tooth of the paper, which can cause bigger issues later on down the road. Ooh, that was definitely going to slide out if I left it there. we'll put you over there. So we'll probably come back to these. I seriously doubt that I'm finished with the blocks, but we're going to move those to the side for now, and I'm going to switch over to the pencils. So my pencils are not in the original tin. Mine are in the Derwent box. They sent this to me. And just for transparency, they did provide me with this years ago. I've since bought many of them myself, so I can't say like these were all given to me by Derwent. I've bought a lot of these. But anyway, there's my Derwent box. It is so, hitting the mic, because I'm a pro. It's really pretty. There you go. You can see the pencils lock in there. I love this thing. It is so nice. So if you have the opportunity to get one of these, I think it's worth it. I really like mine. It stays out on display in my studio. Like this doesn't get put away with other things. Doesn't have my artwork on it, so there's that. Let's see. Starving Artist Collective said, remember your tree frog in Winsor and Newton pigment marker was lovely. Think you used the same photo if I remember. It wasn't this photo. This one was as a new photo. But yeah, that I really liked how he came out. And thank you. Cat's Art Pig said, the paper you're using tonight is on sale at Blick and a whole bunch of other stuff too. Nice. I didn't spend any more money. I'm cut off. I bought too many plants and tree frogs and stuff for the tree frogs. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to start around his eyes. So I'm going to start with adding some highlights. I'm going to need some yellow to go over the red. I'm going to need darker red. And I think these guys will look good. We'll start with some of this shading. Do I have, where am I? Hold on one second. Let me see if I've got a water brush. That will make my life a little bit easier. I should have one over here somewhere. Enjoy staring at the back of my head. But at least with this mic now, when I do that, you can still hear me. Okay, seriously, where did I put my water brushes? Oh, here's one. Nope, that's not the good one. That's one I used in an ink project that went terribly wrong. Here, oh, I see them. Come here. I need you. There we go. Okay. So we've got, I'm not going to do the black line yet. I'm going to do the shading here, some of the highlights, and the brightest white highlight, I'll come back through with the Inktense block later on. So we've got the shading right under the eye. Now, these do not blend out quite as smooth as with watercolor pencils, so don't push very hard. But because we have that base of the smooth underpainting here, even if they don't blend super smooth, you're probably still okay. You're not going to notice it that badly. Jason said, do you have problems remembering what colors that you have mixed when you go over the project again? I don't care if they're the same. That's the thing. It doesn't matter. And that's what I wish. Like my big thing you guys always hear me say, it's a constant thing on Patreon, it doesn't matter. Your colors do not need to be the same. Like it just does not matter. Like here, I don't know if that's the same color I used in my blocks. Who cares? Get your values right. Dark's dark enough, light's light enough. Look at a pencil, see if it looks good. Put a couple strokes and realize, oh, I don't really like that color. Put it down and grab another one. It doesn't need to be the same. It just isn't a big deal. Oh, I hope your day gets better, Sherry. So we've got this yellow on the outer edge here. Yeah, everything with art, people want to think that everything is about the color. If I just knew what color to use, my work would look so realistic. Color it plays a role. It's a small role in comparison to your values and your contrast. Get your darks dark enough, get your lights light enough, get an accurate drawing. If your drawing is bad, it doesn't matter how you, well, your values are good and your drawing is bad, even sometimes then it'll look good. But make sure you're getting that accurate drawing to start with and focus on your values. I could paint him in purples and make him look realistic. He would just look like he's under purple lights. So I'm just going to blend that out a little bit. I want to be really careful. This is the Derwent water brush. The Derwent makes my favorite water brushes by a pretty good margin. If you're going to get some, I definitely do recommend theirs. I have some from a few other brands. They're okay. But this one holds a good amount of water, and I've got the different sizes. They're just nice. Alana said, what's the best method for highlights using watercolor? I have white watercolor pencils that I love. You could also use white colored pencil if you've got an opaque like a luminance, a Prismacolor. Tastes bad to say. Drawing Chinese white, if you've got one of those for your final highlights, you could do that. Now, don't plan on putting watercolor back over that because it's not going to stick to it. But for final highlights, that's what you can do. Now, anyone who's good at watercolor, not me. I mean, I can make pretty things, but I'm not like, that's not my focus is watercolor. The people who are very traditional, that's the word I'm looking for with watercolor, they just let the white of the paper show through. They don't use white watercolor because the white is going to be opaque and that kind of kills the translucency of the watercolors themselves. So, and I mean, there's a reason I don't want to make it sound like they're insane for choosing that method. It makes sense, but I don't care, so I use white. But yeah, that is what I do. Let's see. I need like a purplish red or a dark red, almost black. Let's try you, or sepia is probably not going to do it. What other colors do we have? Ink black's going to be too dark. Where are my purples? I'm so going to fall off this chair if I keep leaning on it the way I am right now. Maybe you will work. You look good. Mauve. Got mauve. I've got, let's see. I wonder, does Derwent make, I don't even know, Nightshade in the Inktense? Because that's my favorite color in their Light Fast set. And they name everything the same. I don't see one named Nightshade. Okay, we'll just go with this. Let's see. Leisha said, what's in the water brush? Water or OMS? Water. These are water soluble. So and OMS is going to leak out of this like crazy. I wouldn't recommend using OMS in these, like even for colored pencils. Let's sharpen that. Oh, this sharpener does not fit anything. Okay, we've got this deeper shadow on the inside of the eye, right in there. And we're going to blend that into the red of the eye. Got another one right here. So this is the thing with art and why it's such a big thing with color is not that big of a deal. Look at how I'm just working on the values. The perfect red eye didn't matter if my values weren't correct. So that's really what we want to focus on in here. I can zoom this in if that helps a bit because there we go. Okay. We will use a little bit of black, but I'm going to do that with a liner brush, I think, later. Maybe with the pencil. We'll see. Actually, no, some of it will. See, I changed my mind a million times as I'm working. I'm constantly looking for a better way of doing something. I'm going to use purple for the shadow under the eye here, too. Let's see. He's got a decent shadow over here. Purple is just a nice color for shadows. Don't always jump to something that needs a shadow so black. That took me years to learn. They could also use dark green for some of these, but I really like purple for shadows. I will need to switch to dark green for some of this, though. These are just kind of the deeper ones. Okay, let's go ahead and blend these out. Leah said, thanks for doing this in Inktense. I'm already realizing why I've been having some issues with mine. I can't wait to do this frog. Oh, I'm glad I could help. I love Inktense. I don't know why I don't do it more often. Oh, because I love all the mediums and I want to do all of them. But Inktense is just, it's a lot of fun. And it's fast. That's why when someone asked earlier if I was going to illustrate a children's book, what medium I would work in, Inktense is good because it's fast. And if you've got to get a lot of stuff done really quickly, this is a good one. It's just a really enjoyable medium to work in. So I'm just kind of dotting this here, building up that shadow. We'll still need to get some darker shadows in there, but it's a start. So a common question that I get from people about Inktense is a complaint that they dry too dull or too matte, too flat. they're not shiny like when they're wet. Yeah, but that's a good thing because that means they photograph really well. And for me, I don't sell my Inktense work because it's not light fast. Some of the colors are light fast when dry, but when water is added, Derwent they don't know. They didn't test to see when water is added if it makes a difference in the pigment's light fastness. So, hold on, I've got to fix this. My head is off the camera half the time. So because of that, I just don't feel comfortable selling my work. I'm not going to risk selling something that fades on somebody. So, or, when it comes to these, but it's still worth it to me to do anyway, because I get it done so quick and I can sell prints of it. So even if I don't sell the original, I can still sell prints and it photographs beautifully. I've got some of my favorite paintings. I've got a big tiger with a dark background. I've got an octopus with a dark background, same size. I don't have a good photo of it yet, so I haven't made prints. That is not a problem with my Inktense stuff. Like, it photographs so accurately. Okay, I'm gonna use that same purple and start getting some of these deeper shadows in here. Go for close, but if it's not perfect, like, oh, my wrinkle's not exact, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. This is one of those situations where close is close enough. You know what I learned, which I never knew until this week? Maybe I should admit to this because maybe it's something normal people know. Frogs don't have rib cages. That is so weird. I had no idea. Fish have ribs. Why don't you need a rib cage? That is weird. The things you can learn on Facebook. Although, if it's Facebook, it's probably inaccurate, right? I'm kidding. I've researched it. It isn't. So see how we're getting this definition now? This is going to start really making a difference in this guy. We're just going to use the purple for the shadows here too. This one, if you care, is called mauve. But it doesn't, like I said, the color's not that big of a deal. Use grab a purple, grab a magenta. You could use a dark red for these shadows. Any of those would work. I just don't recommend using black because it would, not that I don't ever use black for shading, but on these colors, it's not going to be cute. You're going to get kind of a muddy, messy color. Usually I'll use black for shadows, occasionally on like greens, blues, purples. On reds, oranges, and yellows, use purple instead. It will almost always be a better choice. Richard said, look down Derwent's site, no nightshade in the Inktense set. We need to get them to change that. Thank you for looking that up for me, so I don't waste a bunch of time keep looking for them here. Clark Pinard said, Jerry's had light fast info on each color when you select the individual color. Would you say that is only for dry application? That's all that it's been tested for. Now, in theory, it should be fine wet or dry. But when I asked Derwent, because they were so unsure, that made me unsure. And then I'm like, I'm not going to put that risk on a customer. So that's kind of my thought process there. Sarah said, I've been using regular watercolor so far, but I'm thinking maybe after my frog is dry, I'll add in some detail with watercolor pencils. I think that would work real well. That would definitely work. Okay, he's got his little leg is folded up here. Trying to pay attention to what goes where. So I guess the frogs, the little red-eyed tree frogs that I'm getting, they're babies, like 4 to 8 weeks old. Like they're tiny, like little. They're so cute. I saw photos. I'm excited. Because everything's even cuter as a baby. Like plants. I bought a Monstera plant. So Monsteras, it's a deliciosa. Their leaves are like people size when they're full grown. They get huge. I found one at a local box store and the whole plant is this teeny tiny little with lots of little baby leaves. And it was so cute. I already have one, but it was a baby. And so I had to buy them because babies are, baby plants are adorable. I'd say babies in general, or, just baby things are cute, but I don't actually think baby humans are usually that cute. Occasionally there's a cute one. But they look like weird little old people to me more. Like baby animals, I think, are cuter. I apologize to those of you with your little weird baby old people. I've never been one to like, oh, baby, like human baby, so cute. No, baby frog, baby plant, baby anything else, I will gush over. There's something wrong with me. These probably fall under the category of things I shouldn't admit to people, huh? Just defining these edges. Now, when I pull these out, pay attention to which direction you want to pull the shadow. Like this shadow needs to be pulled into the leaf, not into the frog. So you want to pay attention to that on your reference photo. Which direction, like where do you pull the shadow? One edge is going to be sharp and one will fade the opposite direction, but the reference photo has that information for you. Okay, let's blend this out a bit. Let's see. Heather said, I tagged you on Instagram. My studio assistant wanted to help. Awesome. I'll check it out later. Thank you. I like seeing tag me in any of your studio assistant photos. I like seeing them. Everybody. Lottie said, when will the MeWe Critique live stream be happening? I don't know. I have not scheduled that yet, but it will be upcoming. Clark Fine Art said, that's good info to keep in mind. We don't want to sell art that could potentially fade or disappear. Exactly. We go back to customer service and such. Somebody even posted in one of our art groups, she bought this beautiful landscape and they saved for a while to get this landscape. And 20 years later, it does not look like it did when she bought it. It's completely faded. It wasn't done using light fast materials. And I don't know about you, but as an artist, that is not a reputation I want to build for myself. And I've told this story before. When I first started painting, I was doing the very starving artist thing, like it was an issue. And I thought, oh, I can save some money by getting paint thinner for my oil painting at the hardware store. Or no, paint thinner too. That was too strong. But it was the linseed oil. They have linseed oil. Just buy this. It's so much cheaper than the art supply store. You know, it's not the same thing. That is not the same thing. Oh my gosh. And so what happened is 6 months later, so I painted all these paintings. I took them to an art show. I sold a bunch of them. I was selling them for like $50, $40 to $60, I think. They weren't expensive, but still to this day, it's been 20 years and I still feel terrible knowing what happened to them because some of the ones that didn't sell, I still had. And the linseed oil like separated from the paint and it bubbled up on it was weird. I never saw anything like it. It sure didn't look like that when I painted it. And it was months later. And it's like, I feel horrible knowing somebody paid money for something for me. And if anyone ever finds, like if they were to contact me and be like, hey, this painting was crap, I would have replaced it for them with better supplies at no additional cost. Like absolutely. No one get any ideas. I need a photo of the painting before I start doing freebies. But anyway, I feel terrible about it. And it's just not worth saving a few dollars. And the funny thing is, yeah, it's way cheaper. I got a ton of linseed oil for that price. Was it worth it? Even if it was an issue of really saving the money. But when you don't even use that much linseed oil anyway. In my case, I use liquid now. I don't even use linseed oil, but that's what I started with when I started with oils. So yeah, that is just something to be aware of. Don't make the mistake I made and start cheaping out on stuff. Because if you're not using light fast materials and that customer is going, how disappointing for the customer or for the person who spent 2 weeks worth of their income, like they saved for months. So hundreds, thousands of dollars, whatever it was back then. And now, not on mine, but on that one I was telling you about. And it's not the same. And it's like, that is just, and some people will think, well, customers should know watercolor tends to fade or whatever. No, they shouldn't. You sold them a product and the average consumer. And I think that's one of the things we want to kind of get in the head when we're making sales of who is the average consumer. The average consumer is like, well, there's a painting in the museum that's 400 years old. So obviously paintings last forever. Yeah, well, when your artist didn't inform you, they used non-light fast materials and crap canvases with gesso that didn't stick, so it ended up flaking up. It is up to you to be providing a quality product. And the thought of, well, I didn't sell it for that much, so that makes it okay. No, that doesn't make it okay either, because the customer is like, yeah, I got a discount. They didn't realize it's because you used crap products. So that's just something to be very aware of if you're going to sell the work. Let's see. Cat's Heart Pig said, I know what to expect from my Faber-Castell pencils. Can I expect the same performance or better with the Derwent pencils? They're not as light fast. The Faber-Castell are definitely more light fast. As far as quality, it's different. These are not watercolor pencils. They're ink. It's water soluble ink. So you're going to have it's not quite the same. I like them both for different reasons, but like I said, it's not quite the same. So can you expect good results? Yeah, definitely. Like I love working with Inktense, but they're not as light fast as the Faber-Castell. So that's something. And Faber-Castell, I believe, says that theirs are light pastel even when water is added. So that's also something. I'm guessing they tested that then. I don't know for sure, though. Whoop, scroll too far. Come back. Phyllis said, how big do the frogs get when they're full grown or when they're grown? I think the females are 3 to 4 inches. The males are about 2 inches. The females are a lot big. So I think about yay-ish big on the females. The males are a bit smaller. Skylar said, babies are like aliens. What do I do with it? Yeah, I'm not like, I've never spent a lot of time around babies. So I'm very awkward if someone's like, here, hold my child. I'm like, please don't. It's not going to end well for either one of me or the child. No one wants that. You hand me a baby bird, I know what to do with those. BZ Cherokee said, it's because animals are still cute, even as full-grown adults. Rarely is a human. Also true. Minnow said, I bought pastel matte paper and OMG, life-changing. I can't go back to Fabriano now. Yeah, pastel matte's nice. I like pastel matte. Starving Artist Collective said, linseed oil from the art store is polymersed, heat-treated, whereas the linseed oil from the hardware store is not. It's raw, so it goes rancid and acidic and finally eats the surface. That makes sense because that's pretty much what it did. It was very weird. Lesson learned. Casey said, haha, in medieval times, people whose art faded would probably be seen as a witch who used magic to make the paint disappear. Let's see. I live on monstera plants, just terrified of my dogs or my Quaker getting sick if they got to the plant, so I don't have one. Yeah, I don't really have to worry about that with mine. The birds aren't in the rooms where the plants are, and the dogs don't mess with them, so they're not a problem for us. Monica said, Mom wanted me to say hi, but was having a hard day, and went to bed early. She told me to stay up and say hi to her baby girl. She said, you're the highlighter, and tell her to feel better. Make her soup, but tell her it was for me. I want you to do the work, but I want the credit. She needs soup. Make her feel better. Jason said, Lisa, so not enough to eat frog legs. What? Lisa, so not enough to eat frog legs. What were we talking about? That's relevant to something, but as always, I don't remember what it was, Jason. Okay. So let's see. I still need to get more dark. So I want to get like a dark bluish purple in here. That looks like it should work. Navy blue. Sure. It's not a bluish purple, but close enough. And by close enough, I mean not at all, but whatever. We're making it work. See, color's not that big of a deal. So I'm going to build up some more shadows. You can even use these on some of the shadows on his face that need to be a bit more defined. So one of the things with the pencils, they're always going to be darker. Like it gets darker. You're not going to lighten something except with a white. You are not going to lighten an area with these pencils. They're always going to be darker. And that's a big difference between these and colored pencil, where you've got a lot of more opaque colors that you can lighten up. Not so much with these. So it's just a bit of a different process that you're going to use when you do need to lighten something. Now this is going to get really dark. That is something you need to be aware of. Like when you blend this, it goes very dark, like way more than you expected usually. So that's why we want to blend or build up in slower layers. So you've got a bit more control. I'm just paying attention to where are some of the deeper shadows, and that's where I'm throwing this blue. Now you can use the Inktense blocks, and that you can get a more opaque, lighter way to layer something. That's actually gives you an interesting texture too. It's rough, but sometimes it looks neat. I've done that before when I'm trying to do like coral or something that needs a really defined, bumpy look. Technical art term there for you, bumpy. Jason said, Lisa, you were talking about how big the baby tree frogs are and going to get when they're adults. So the previous comment, and oh, gotcha. Yes, we're not eating the frogs. And their names are not frog legs. There's Murlaco from Murlaco's Tacos, Murky, Captain Cookie, and what was it? Sir Finley Murgledon? Sir, I think that was what it was. Those are their 4 names. Heather said, the frog is so cute, I want to pet it. Oh, yeah. So other interesting thing about the tree frogs, you don't really want to hold them or pet them or play with them in that sense. Their skin is extremely sensitive, and you'll occasionally see people posting photos holding their frogs and playing with them, and it's honestly not ideal. I mean, okay, sometimes, and I know this because I used to have a white tree frog when I was younger, had him for 12 years. They live a long time. These guys don't live quite as long, but they will sometimes jump out of the enclosure like you're cleaning it or whatever, and they'll jump out and land on you, and it's like, okay, so I guess that's happening. But it's not, this salt and the just stuff in your skin is not good for their skin. They actually drink through their skin. Like, they don't drink, they absorb it through, like, their skin is so weird and so sensitive to stuff. So you really don't want to handle them. Not good for them. So you won't see pictures of me going like, look, here's my frog in my hand, unless I was wearing gloves. And that doesn't make for a cute picture, so let's just not even do it. Plus, I don't really want to stress them out. I just want them in their little natural habitat that I created for them. That is my plan. Let's see. Sarah Makes Art said, what keeps me from getting good watercolors is I'm not patient, and I try to put over other paint that's still wet when I really need to wait for the first layer to dry. Get a hairdryer out. I'll make it easier for you. So I want to be careful because, again, I know from past experience how dark these will get when you're not really wanting it to. I'm pulling that shadow up. I'm really hoping my husband's swearing in the other room isn't picking up. He's working. I doubt you can hear it. But there are swear words happening with whatever's going on. I'm trying to listen. Can you tell? I'm like, I want to hear the drama. I'm dumb. Jason said, art tree frogs and dart frogs are tree frogs and dart frogs similar in color and color makeup. They can be, but not really. I mean, dart frogs look like you gave someone, like a kid that has no concept of like, this thing should be green. This thing should be, you know, trees are green and I don't know, whatever colors. So, and gave them a bunch of colors and told them to shade it in. Like, they're the craziest patterns. So both are very colorful, but they're some pretty, like, no one's going to mistake a tree frog or any tree frog for a dart frog. And in our case with Cletus Quadonkadonk over there, the little Santa Isabel dart frog, he's like a deep red kind of color, and he's got these stripes. His stripes are not very well defined. I think he was kind of a leftover. That's why he was discounted when I got him. Whatever, I love him. But he doesn't have the super bright green. He's got a few dots, but his are not really well defined. I don't know if that's something that will change over time. I don't think they're going to change that much. He's going to need a big shadow with red. We'll come back through with the reds. We're going to start making that a lot darker. So let's dry that first. See, Monica said she talked about her mom, she told her mom she has 2 arthritis daughter. Only one is a YouTube rock star, another is just her rock star. We work together to keep a smile on her face. Mom is 95. Wow, that is awesome. PC Cherokee said, do you ever look back at any of your old videos for any reason? I try not to. Nick said, Sarah asks, have you tried pan pastels and do you like them? I've been looking into getting some. I love pan pastels and I didn't even want to try them. I'm like, no, I'm not going to like them. I don't like pastels. Pastels feel icky on my hands and I'm being a big baby and I don't want them. And they sent them to me and they turned out to be one of my favorite things. Like I love pan pastels. So yeah, that's kind of a, see, this is not that color. Yeah, kind of. It's darker. It's always darker. But anyway, yeah, I definitely would recommend, like if you've got the opportunity to get some, I would do that. This is need more orange. Let's try hot red. Yeah, that's better. See what I mean by colors? It's not that big of a deal. And this is why I keep, like, we made the merch that says, I may regret this, let's find out. That is how I deal with color. It's how I deal with a lot of things. But it's like, let's try it. I made a couple of pencil strokes and didn't love that one. Put it down, pick up another one. Color's not that big of a deal. We tend to get so worked up and so worried about messing something up, and we have to get that out of our head as artists. Grab a color, try it. If you don't like it, put it down, grab a different color. It is that simple. And for those of you thinking, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is that simple. Stop trying to overwork the color thing. Like color is not, if you're at a stage in your art and you're like, something is wrong, it doesn't look realistic, I need to know the colors. That right there tells you you're not looking at the right thing. It's almost never color. It's kind of like Monstera people will understand this. It's never oblique. I doubt anyone. If anyone got that one, let me know. But anyway, it's not the cause of your problem. If you're having an issue, stop stressing about the color being off because it doesn't make a big difference. I mean, color plays a bit of a role, not much. Actually, I want to get a shirt that says it's never oblique. I want that in a shirt that says variegate all the things. I may need to make a Lachri fine art type version for Teesprings, but just for me. See, I'm doing Teesprings and doing the merch because I'm really selfish and I want certain shirts. I'm like, I want more clothes. I want some t-shirts that I get to decide what it says. Okay. Lay down, Gibson. Poor Gibson hasn't been on a walk in a few days, and it shows. He's so antsy and just frustrated, and I feel bad for him. He walks around whining and crying. He keeps going and showing me his collar and whining over there. But he's so, from the people side of things, a bit annoying. But I actually feel bad for him because it's just that he has too much energy, and he doesn't know what to do with it. But it's been raining and cold, and he's bored. Poor boy. Blend that. Now I would not want to do this with the shading with the pencils on white paper, like without having a base layer first that I painted on, because I tried it. It's very grainy, very gritty that way. Let's see. Casey said, are frogs like butterflies? Does it damage their skin when you touch it? Like how when you touch a butterfly's wings, it can prevent them from flying. I didn't know that about butterflies. Good luck. I just take photos of them. But no, it's not that. It can burn them. You can end up with just burns are kind of like what people have said. I've never seen it. I mean, people hold their frogs all the time and don't really have any issues, but it's one of those kind of, I guess, in theory, things you're not supposed to do. But like when Rib, my White's tree frog that I had, his name was Rib. His last name was Bit. But when he would jump on my arm or whatever, he never suffered any, like he always looked fine as far as what I could tell. But their skins, it's just like a known thing. They're very sensitive and you're not supposed to touch them. But it's not something I've ever personally witnessed. But then again, I really don't want to witness them getting, any kind of damage. But it's not to that extent. Well, I guess as long as your hands were clean. Like what I was told with Rib was anytime you needed to handle him handle him for any reason, I don't know why I said on person, but wash your hands and with wet hands, like spray them down with water, and then that's how you'd handle them. And one of the other weird things was, so it was in 95, I think, that I got Rib. I was told back then, because I was like, should I use bottled water or tap water or whatever? And I was told to use tap water because the chlorine in the water would probably be good for keeping any bacterial infections under. So I was using straight tap water, not even dechlorinated. Now you tell someone who keeps frogs that, and they're going to be like, what is wrong with you? You can't do that. So, and maybe the water back in 95 was different than what it is now because we use chloramine instead of chlorine now. So, you know, there's that whole thing. But so yeah, kind of just interesting little frog fact or frog stuff. We're going to go ahead and dry this. I'm going to start getting some of the deeper shadows and some of those highlights in. And this is the stuff that starts making them look really good. Let's see. Leah said, now I find myself wanting to get frogs. Would love to hear them chirping all day long. Yeah, look into dart frogs. This one's the Santa Isabel. And you don't see them hardly at all. I have to breed fruit flies for him. They're in these little cups. I have 4 of them. They're actually under my workbench. So yeah, I purposely am breeding bugs in my house. But they're in these cups. They can stay contained. And every week I make a new batch and throw away the old batch. And that's what I feed him. So I make way more than what he needs. It's just they breed a lot. It's really easy. And that was the main thing that kind of held me back. Going, do I really want to deal with having to breed fruit flies? I mean, crickets seem easier because I can just go to the store and get them when I need them, but they don't always have fruit flies in stock. So anyway, no, it's way easier than the cricket thing. So yeah, that, look into them. I really enjoy him. And they do have a lot of requirements. They need to have like humidity. I need to use a bit of Inktense. Humidity needs to be in their tank between, in him, 80 to 100%. Very humid. You don't want, I need a liner brush. You don't want to lose your liner brush is what you don't want. You have to make sure, I mean, that's going to be a big deal. There's some things you just need to be aware of, but like he's very easy to care for. So I'm going to use, there's the black. I think, is that black? Yeah, it looks like black. These dark ones all look the same. We're going to add the line here. Hold on, I'm going to test it. Yeah, we're good. I'm going to make mine a little bit more full than what the reference photo has. Is that black or is that blue? No, that's black. Let's see. Where were we? Oh my gosh, we're way behind. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind. Nope, that's not the last question. Where were we? Okay, here we go. Josephine said, Lisa, when painting oil over acrylic, if oil doesn't cover all the acrylic, is it still okay to varnish with Gambar? Absolutely, because you can varnish with Gambar just on straight acrylic too. It's very flexible with that. There we go. That is what I wanted. So yes, that is one of the big bonuses with that. I'm going to use this black too to really darken up a few areas. I like him already. Shaz said, what sharpener do you use for your Inktense? I have trouble finding one to get a good point. I really need to get the blocks too. I hardly use the pencils. Too difficult to melt the ink. Any of the Coom sharpeners, like I just use these little metal sharpeners. Those are my preference. But yeah, the Inktense blocks are amazing. They're a must-have for me. Like if I'm going to use the two, if I could only use the Inktense blocks or the Inktense pencils, I would go with the blocks. I think you can do more with those easier than just with the pencils. But I like them both together. Shaz says, I just love this little red-eyed frog. He's so cute. I want one. I can't wait to get them. I'm so excited. Like I've already been looking nonstop, like reading things. And I think that's important anyway, when you get animals, that you should, really research what they need. Like these guys, they need their humidity. And this is what I'm struggling with right now on the vivarium. They need their humidity to be between 60 and 70%. And I'm like, I can get it too high or too low because I'm messing with the Mist King system and the fans that I put on it and like trying to find that balance. And then the remember how I said don't use black? I'm using a little bit. using the, just because it's out and I'm like, hey, I kind of like this look, I'm going to add a little bit more. But that with the fans, like trying to balance all of that out, you do have to watch for that. And you're creating, in my case with the vivarium, I'm creating a natural whole little ecosystem in there. Like there are good bugs in the tank that help clean up. Like I don't ever have to clean the tank other than the glass and the water. I have to change the water every day, but I won't have to do like that much maintenance because I went with a bioactive setup. So there are bugs in there that eat anything that's dirty. Add some little dots. Actually, I should add those dots with purple. We'll come back with that. So, you know, it's taking a lot to get the setup so that it's exactly right for them. But just knowing what I know from when I had Rib, once they're set up, if you set it up right, and his wasn't set up right, honestly, but even that, it wasn't that much work. Like it's not a ton of work. You just have to make sure that it's set up right in the first place. Too many people go out and get them and then try to figure out how to take care of them. And that's not a real good way to do with animals in general. Kind of like the idiot neighbor of mine who posted in the neighborhood group about their husky that is digging holes in their backyard and they don't know what to do about it. Well, you got a husky, attach him to a sled and let him run. Like that's what he wants to do. So it's, you know, you want to do your research first, not go and get yourself a husky and then not realize their activity level. People make silly choices. Let's see. Alana said, I put 2 layers for my background and it still looks grainy, not enough pencil or not enough water. My instinct is to blend as if it's colored pencil with OMS. Try it. I would take, if you've got a scratch piece of paper, do a sample where you're pushing a little hard, do it harder, do a sample where you're less, try a few different methods and see which one is going to give you the look that you're going for. So that would be your best way to go. But yeah, you probably can put more water, but try it first on a scratch piece of paper, the same kind of paper you're using, because you're going to get different results depending on the paper, and see what gives you the look that you like. Jason said, Lisa, I mean the values that I'm concerned because of not seeing the colors. Gonna need more info. Sorry. Priscilla said, what is your favorite medium to work in, and have you ever done your own self-portrait? I have painted myself a couple of times on old surreal stuff. I don't think it's on one might be on my website, but I need to do another one. That's definitely on my to-do list because I want to do kind of a surreal self-portrait for sure. I've been saying I was going to do it for a while. And then my favorite medium, I would say acrylics. If I could only choose one, it would be acrylics, just because I can do almost anything I want, like the type of painting I like to do. Acrylics are very versatile. So those are probably my favorite, but I wouldn't really want to just choose one. That would be boring. I like working in lots of mediums. Cletus Quadonkadonk over there is making a bunch of noise, chirping again. So cute. Like, I can't stand the cuteness. He is not nearly as entertained by me as I am by him. I move and he's like goes silent real quick and he'll freeze. And then if I move again, he bolts. I swear he teleports. No animal can be that fast. So that's the other thing, talking about like enclosures for animals or for the frogs, is knowing how to set it up in a way that they're going to be comfortable enough, that they're going to be active enough, that you're going to actually see them. So there's lots of stuff like that to look into. But once it, like I said before, once it's set up and you get it all like equalized with where things need to be, they're not difficult. Skylar said, give Gibson a doggy treadmill. I've thought, I want a treadmill. I don't have anywhere to put it that it wouldn't just be like, wow, there is a big treadmill in the middle of your room. My bedroom, I had planned on putting one in there, but my bedroom's so tiny because I turned the master bedroom into my studio. But yeah, I don't know where I would put it. It was one of the things that I wanted for winter times. I wanted it for me, but he would certainly benefit from it, but I don't have anywhere to put one. They're such an awkward, like they take up so much space and they're just big and awkward. Just doing some of these shading, looking at that photo, shading on the toes. So just like I was saying before, it's not about picking the right color. It's about picking the right values. Get those darks darker, your lights lighter. That is, get that high contrast That is going to make the difference in your work. Oh, I need to hurry this up. We're getting close to the end here. Sounds like my husband's still dealing with some drama on the phone in there. I'm curious to see what kind of drama there was. I don't have TV. This is the only entertainment I get. Okay. So now we need a lot of highlights. I need that to dry. And I can get some blues. I think we'll do the highlights first. So actually, I'm going to go ahead. No, wait. I take that back. You go away for a minute. I'm going to pull some more greens into his face. Let's not put that somewhere where it slides onto the floor. And then I will do the highlights. Yeah, sure. It'll work. Leaf green. We'll go with that. Let's see. Jason said, I still walk in the rain, but then again, I am in the Pacific Northwest and rain comes with the territory. Yeah, you would never walk at all if it weren't for that. Monica said, I don't think I have the patience for watercolor. I tried pencils and I added too much water. Then someone bought me paint and I don't know if it was the palette or me. It didn't come out right. I don't know. I didn't like watercolors at first, like for years. This needs to be sharpened. I really had no interest in working in watercolors. I tried them a few times. I didn't like the results I was getting. Went back to acrylics. One of the things that I like with acrylics is the way that you can layer. Like you can fix any mistake. You know, that's watercolor kind of iffy. So that for years I wasn't interested in them until I started working with Inktense. Then I fell in love with these. And I think part of what happened too was as I had gotten older, just getting more experience when it came to art and how to fix mistakes and how to focus on values and not the things that I thought were important back when I was trying watercolor, I since learned are not that big of a deal in making your artwork look good. So it's almost like I was focusing on the wrong aspects. And when I tried them, I've just been using watercolor pencils, but even watercolor I'd be fine with now. I love, like, it definitely has changed for me. I didn't think that I would ever like them, but I really do. Really surprised me. I would say Inktense that really was the thing that opened the door for me in changing my opinion on them. I can't wait to add the white because this is going to be the part that makes it look so much better. Actually, his little eye there needs to be shaped a bit more rounded. I better sharpen that. I'm trying to be lazy. That was not going to end well for me. Let's go ahead and actually sharpen the pencil. Now, if I had more time, I would probably put some more time shading the leaf. Just time-wise, I don't have it. So for you guys, I would recommend spend a bit more time on your leaf than what I did. Like really get some shadows in there. I'm focusing on the frog for sure. But given more time, I would really make that more rich. You can certainly do better or spend more on yours than I did. Let's get that shadow in here. I'll have to come back through with some purple too. I'm not even going to blend that with water. I'm just going to leave the shadow where that needs to be. Actually, I guess that's kind of a quick way for me to go through and get some shading. It's just don't blend it out. Want to look a little rough? That's okay. Now in this case, see how mine, well, it looks kind of more orangey on yours. In person, my leaf looks more red than what I would probably want that end result to be. If I wanted to make it more yellow, I would just put yellow on top of it and let those blend. Casey said, I was like, why does does Joseph mean a hamster wheel for Gibson or the frog? Yeah, dogs do well on treadmills. It's anything to get rid of their energy. Maybe someday. I just don't know where I'd put it. Birdbone said, the salt on your skin dehydrates them. I'm an amateur. Oh, cool. herpetologist, and I love hearing you talk about real facts about these buddies. Lots of people not doing that on the interwebs. Yeah, and it drives me crazy. Like there was a video someone posted, my friend sent it to me, and I guess this girl, she's a YouTuber, and she's, I guess, got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of an animal hoarder. It was weird because the video, I mean, I don't want to start, I won't name it so you wouldn't know who it was anyway, but like the video had dirty dishes in the background. I'm like, really? I mean, maybe it's just because I don't have dirty dishes. Like I put those away anyway. So it's just weird. To me, in my brain, I'm like, really? But from what I was told, this person had a reputation for being a bit of an animal hoarder anyway, but she had just gotten a certain animal. And I don't even want to say what it was because I think it would give away too much if anybody watches this person. She's got a good following, but she got a certain animal and did zero research. And she was like, yeah, I've been wanting to adopt one for a while. So I was waiting for one to come available on Craigslist. Then why hadn't you done the research? Like if you knew that was something you were going to do, you did do the research, but then you're going on about how, but I didn't get into this Facebook group yet, so I couldn't get information. You couldn't Google? There's Google, which is going to probably give you better information than what whoever on the Facebook group is going to give you, because it is amazing the amount of information you get in these Facebook groups. But anyway, it's very frustrating for me to watch people who didn't research and don't properly take care of the animals. They're just like, I just want to have this animal without doing any research on what this animal needs. So yeah, I'm not saying I'm like perfect and I know all the things, but I've spent the last 4 months waiting for this terrarium, reading everything I could find. I've got reading. I like to read too when people post that their animal, not that I want the animal to be sick, but oh my gosh, those posts I'm going to read and then I'm going to go research what I can on it. So I know if it happens to me, I know how to handle it. I know, okay, is this a situation that requires a vet? Is this a situation where there's an easy home remedy? There are, stuff like that. I don't get, it never made sense to me how many people go out and get these animals and don't do any research. Like I get back in the 90s, like when I got my white street frog, I set up everything wrong because we didn't have the internet. Like there wasn't information available to you easily. And most of the stuff printed in books was not accurate. So now I'm like, what excuse do people have that they're not researching this stuff before they put their animals, I need white, before they get the animals and then the animal suffers. So it just, personal pet peeve there, a little rant. Hold on, dropped a block there. But anyway, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. But from what I'm seeing, it seems like you've got a lot of really good people on YouTube that share great information about care for animals and are very responsible and present good stuff. And then I'll watch some where I'm like, you're giving information that's dangerous to the animals just so it appears you're just trying to show your chest off. Maybe I'm wrong. That's what it looks like for me. So it's kind of like those ones just, whenever the animals start suffering, I get a bit pissy. So I'm going to dot, I mixed in white and I'm going to dot that. Now when it goes down, this is what's going to start creating some of this texture in this guy. When it starts to dry, it's going to go very, very opaque. So don't go too crazy thinking, oh, I can't see it yet. Keep adding more. It will get opaque. Just let it dry. So we've got a highlight around that eye. But yeah, that YouTube person I was telling you about, I mean, the setup she got for those animals was just completely wrong. And it's like, if you'd done 5 minutes of research on Google, you would have known more than what you just did. I'm not even sure why you made a video on something when you even start out the video going, I did this wrong. Thanks for the clickbait. My friend linked it to me. My friends need to stop linking me bad stuff. She linked it to me knowing I would get annoyed at how badly this setup was for those poor crab. Oh, no, I'm not saying what it was. These poor critters. We'll say critters. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll up. Where were we? Oh, Jason has to deal with color blindness. Oh, you have to work on contrast so much more than us, which actually probably makes your artwork look better too, because you're really going to be focused on your contrast and values. Sorry, I'm scrolling up trying to figure out where we were. Here we go. Monica said, is there a good watercolor paint you can suggest? I am not a pro with watercolor. I've just been using my watercolor pencils. So like actual watercolor paint, I don't know that. I would check with Lena Dania. She's here on YouTube. She uses watercolor, so she can probably give you better advice. I'm trying to think of what other watercolor artists. I don't watch a lot of watercolor stuff, so I can't tell you much, but I'm not the person to give you good information there. I'm sorry. Joshua said, I'm in the process of making you a custom colored pencil box with drawers as a gift for all you do for us, Lachri. I don't know how you guys say that, Lacrites? Is your favorite color teal? It is. And oh my gosh, I'm going to cry. That is so sweet. Like seriously, the tears are well. Stop. Stop. Thank you. Wow. Jason said, I watched seriously, no crying. Jason said, I watched a YouTube video this morning about a dog who escaped her yard and went to her dog daycare, and she hadn't been there because of COVID-19, and the employee called her owner. Oh my gosh. The owners picked her up for breakfast and then took her back to hang out. It was so funny. Oh, that is funny. I'm glad she's okay. Casey said, I love Lachri fine art so much. She asks us for more info on a topic. By the time she has a chance to get to the comment, she has already forgotten again. Yep. Yeah, you've got to remind me because I will not. My memory is, well, in doing this, like trying to keep track of the painting, of the chatting, of the fact that I am going over by like, I'm going to be about 15 minutes over, I think, tonight. I apologize. Hopefully less. Yeah. Let's see. Is there a reason that you don't use a hairdryer instead of a crafting heat gun? A crafting heat gun can burn the paper. You have to be very, very careful with it. It's not as big of a deal. Like you could use it on this and be fairly okay. I've seen people use it with acrylics and it will melt and bubble up the acrylics because acrylics are plastic, so you're actually melting it. So that could be a potential issue. For me, I have a heat gun and while yeah, I could use it on this, I don't actually know where mine is, but I've always got the hairdryer set up, so it's just more practical for me to use what I use for everything, on everything. Angela said, shoo, buddy, I'm just beat, did so much today, can't keep my eyes open, so time for me to say goodbye and head home. Have a beautiful night. See you, everyone. Good night, Angela. Starving Artist Collective said, like you're thinking about the master bedroom for the studio and smaller room for your sleep. I never understood why people would waste a big room for so few hours in the day. Love your studio. Yeah, it didn't, like initially when we were looking at houses, it was kind of like, well, because my husband snores, so we don't sleep in the same room. So I was like, well, who gets the master? And my issue wasn't even so much that I want the master bedroom. I wanted the master closet. Like that, I'm not giving up. So I wasn't going to downgrade from what I had from the apartment, I guess. So then we start thinking more, I'm like, why would I even use the bedroom this master as a bedroom? Like it makes so much more sense to use it for the studio. And so that is what we did. It works out really well for sure. Like I really spend almost no time in I nap and then I sleep. Like I don't hang out in there. I have a TV on the wall. I put it there for when my parents come because I'll give them that and I'll sleep in the futon in the chicken room. But I don't even know if the TV works because I've never turned it on in there. I should probably test that. I mean, it used to work before we moved, but who knows now. It used to be in my studio. So again, see how this looks like nothing is happening? Let it dry and it will start showing up. And as always with these pieces, you guys spend more time on your piece. You can make yours even like way better than mine just by taking more time than what I'm putting into it in the live stream. Leisha said, any thoughts on the Patreon app? I never use the app. I just use the desktop. Even if I'm using my phone, I just use the desktop site. So that's me. PZ Cherokee said, has everything been resolved with a Vimeo and Patreon debacle? Patreon, I have no idea what's going on with that because they've not been transparent about any of that. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But with Vimeo, I deleted everything and told them, go ahead and delete the account. Well, we can't do it ourselves. Wait, you were going to do it yourself? When? I'm going to have to read these emails to you guys because it's one of those things where you're like, you had no problem threatening to. So if you guys are unaware, let's see if I can sum this up. Vimeo is where I hosted my Patreon videos. I pay a lot of money for that. I only use 1/3 of my allotted storage with them. But so I'm paying more than, getting the big account. Well, they contacted me a few months back, said, hey, we see that you're doing really well on Patreon. We're going to charge you more money because of it. Not even kidding. That is what the email said. I had my husband read it and he's like, that sounds like extortion. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's not just me then. So they sent that and said that if I did not upgrade, and I had to call them or contact them to get a quote on the upgrade, they couldn't even be like, oh, you fall under this tier now. I had to get a special quote. So that's shady, like seriously shady. Just tell me your prices. Like if your prices went up, fine, but my contract went through November. So they're upping my price. They're going to cancel my account. They said if I don't upgrade with them, that they are going to delete my account in 10 days. So I spent the next week moving everything off their platform. I was so angry. So I'm like, that is the shadiest business practice. Like, holy crap, I cannot believe you guys are talking to your customers this way. And it's so clear, like, it was bad. So I'm just doing dots to start getting some of that texture. But they ended up not getting back to me. They're like, well, we'll look into this. They didn't get back to me. So I contacted them again. I'm like, I already moved everything, delete my account. Well, our people see that you've still got 1.3 terabytes over there and we don't feel comfortable deleting your account. Wait, you don't feel comfortable when I told you I'm not playing your game. You felt perfectly comfortable threatening me to delete it in 10 days if I didn't bend over and let you charge me. We'll not finish that analogy. But anyway, yeah, that is what happened with them. And so I just emailed them. I deleted all the videos. I'm like, fine, I'll delete them myself. I delete them all, messaged them. I'm like, it's been deleted. Delete the account. Oh, well, we can't do that. You need to do that yourself. Wait, what? I couldn't find it in the settings. I actually spent about 10 minutes trying to find it in the settings to see if I could do it myself. Couldn't find it. So it's hidden wherever it would be. They did give me a link, but it's like you couldn't find it easily yourself. And I'm just like, wow, talk about jacking someone around. So I definitely need to make a dedicated video, making sure people know why I would never recommend them to anybody for any reason. I will have nothing to do with a company that behaved and like it was pretty bad. My anger levels were high. I mean, I don't mind if a company raises their price. It happens. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm fine with that, but that's not what this was. This was, we see you're doing well on Patreon. We've decided you're at the top 5% of our users. No, I'm not, because that is not what my analytics show. 500 views on a video is not going to make me one of your top percentage. You just saw I was doing well on Patreon and decided you wanted a cut of that. Sorry, I'd rather put that into my business in other areas and not yours when you were that shady. It was really, but I have all the emails, so I don't know if I'll just publish the emails or what, but I definitely want people to know what a crap company that is. And the back and forth, well, we weren't threatening you. It wasn't meant, we're sorry you took it that way. It wasn't meant as a threat. It literally said that. And I'm not saying literally how everyone misuses the word, actually literally. It was saying, if I do not upgrade with you and pay more, even though my contract is still up, so you're going to cancel my contract and delete my videos in 10 days. That is what it said. So there was no misunderstanding there other than your employees are bad at their job. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Lottie said, when will you do a frog in colored pencil? I don't know, probably soon, because I'm currently obsessed with these guys right now. Let's see. Daniela said, I finally finished my first piece in colored pencil and I surprised myself. I've even doing art as a hobby for a little over a year, always following tutorials for my acrylic pieces. That is awesome. More mediums. I like working in lots of mediums. It's boring doing the same one too many times. Daniela said, any tips for committing and reaching full potential in all mediums? So here's the thing with the mediums. It's not so much about the medium itself that's going to make you amazing. It's about the understanding of values, of contrast, of composition. Like these things are the same no matter what medium you're working in. So when you get to the point where you really understand and you're not afraid, make those darks dark, those lights light, get an accurate drawing, that those elements apply across the board. So it shouldn't take you more than a few months to get the hang of any given medium, if that. It's really about understanding darks dark. That's why you'll see me where I pick up a new medium I've never used before and it looks almost as good as my old stuff or my other mediums I work in all the time. Because you're applying those same lessons across the board. They apply no matter what medium you're working in, and that is what will make you, really proficient across the board. Oh, that's scroll too far. Where were we? Here we go. Casey said, haha, watching Lisa uses all of our electricity to keep up with her speediness. KM Heim said, I agree, people need to research animals they are going to keep for years. I have 2 border collies and people get them because they are smart, but they are extremely high energy. Yeah, that's a big one with breeds. People like to do the whole, oh, it's just how you raise them. No, it is not. We bred them for certain things and they're going to be prone to certain things. Like it doesn't matter, oh, you just need to train them differently. No, that's not how it works. It's so frustrating. Let's get a little bit of green here. So I'm just going to leave this looking a little bit rough because, you know, so here, this is actually a good point. So you were talking about doing different mediums. I can use kind of crap techniques. It's not amazing, but if my values are correct and the composition is okay, you know, that will make up for a lot. So I think we have a tendency to get so worked up on, well, I need to know how to blend the paint perfectly. You really don't. Let the brushstrokes show. If your contrast and values and your line drawing, you know, your initial drawing, if everything there is good, then having perfect blending skills is not nearly that big of a deal. Even here, like these aren't my favorite techniques here because it's kind of dry brushy. It's a little bit rough, but that's what I've got time for right now. So that's what I'm going to do. But he's still cute because, and he's still starting to get that 3-dimensional look because I'm working on the shading there. Like that matters more than the actual perfectly blended technique. That doesn't mean that you can't, you know, perfect your technique. It's just that it's not as big of a deal as we make it out to be. Skylar said, what do you mean chicken room? That is where I call them shoulder chickens. The cockatiel, parrotlet, and Indian ringneck are in that they have their own room. Well, it's that and my husband's computer room where he spends almost all his time. So they all hang out together in that room. Natalie said, I watched your limited color palette video, so I decided to use a limited palette and I'm loving the results so far. Awesome. Yay. Maria said, I started coloring, then realized, like you, I don't have the patience, so I got Mona Lisa Odorous Mineral Spirits, and I love what you do in your art. It looks like there was something else on there. Yeah. What frogs do you have that chirp? I only have one frog right now. I have a Santa Isabella, or I keep saying Isabella. I don't know why I want to say Bella. Isabel, Santa Isabel, poison dart frog. He's about that big. He's the size of my thumbnail, maybe a little smaller. And I'm getting red-eyed tree frogs next week are coming. Many photos will be on Instagram coming up here. Casey said, when you do your live with Stacy, there should be like 20 minutes after where you can read the Vimeo emails while you guys are drunk, a little tipsy. Oh my God, there would be so much swearing and are you effing kidding me? Like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how bad that would be. We would have to put like a parental, like parent, like my videos aren't for kids, but we would have to let people know kids can't be in the room when this part happens. That would be bad. Let's see. Jay said, I did a light fast test with Inktense, only had 3 pencils, pigments failed about 3 months in the sun. But see, here's the thing. This is what you've got to realize with the light fast testing. Light fast testing to do properly is not, so like, okay, Colored Pencil Society of America, they do, or CPSA, yeah, I think that's right. They kind of do their own testing and you can use it as a general guideline, but theirs is not being done in a machine. Theirs is like, I'm going to put this in a big warehouse and then let daylight hit it and then we're going to eyeball the results. I mean, you can do that to get an idea, but it's not accurate. And so it kind of bugs me because a lot of people are using like, this is the colored pencil Bible of light fastness. No, it's not at all. To get correct actual light fastness, it has to be done with the machine so it's consistent results with a consistent amount of light. So anything in the sun, I would expect to fade in 3 months, even with being light fast. Nothing, when light fast conditions mean, or light fast ratings mean under museum quality conditions, which means no sunlight is hitting that, none. You don't want artwork sitting in a room even where direct sunlight is hitting it ever. So we use that sometimes when we do our own little tests, like what CPS does, their little tests, to get an idea, but it is not terribly accurate. So I would do that. Like I want to do a test and I have the stuff. I just need to do it. I've been saying I was going to do it for like 4 years, 5 years now, 6 years, God, forever. But where I do the light fast, the Inktense, I want to see what results I get with certain colors in the sun, with water, without water, behind UV glass, like see what kind of results, like how much they're impacted by those things. But it's not changing what the light fast rating, what the company did. They use a machine. It's a very expensive machine that the average person does not have access to. But again, when we talk about something being light fast, we mean under museum quality or museum conditions. So no direct sunlight at all. anywhere in that room. Like there's a reason there are no windows in those museums, you know, where the artwork is. So that, just so we know that that would be any very light, fast color is going to fade in 3 months in the sun. So I like that you brought that up though, because it's important information. Clark Fine Art said, sounds like Lachri Fine Art would have to set up a game cam to a picture of Quadonkadonk, and then we could have a reference to do a piece with him. I've thought about doing that. I mean, it wouldn't give us a good reference photo, but I've thought about setting that up with a little webcam so I could look at him when he's hiding. I almost got that photo yesterday, and I had to look down because it wasn't quite in focus. I had my macro lens out, which is what you need for him, and he bolted. Maybe when he has a girlfriend, he'll be more bold, or when he's in the other tank. I don't know. I don't know if it might be harder to even photograph him in that other tank though. Okay, I think he is about done as far as what I have time to do for tonight. So we're gonna leave him alone there. You can spend far more time on yours, get more, like I would go, if I had more time, get more texture, get some dots in there around the shading of his nose. You've got that little bumpiness in there. You know, spend a little bit more time on yours than I do on these live streams. But yeah, that is it for him. Let me get these last questions and I'm going to go eat dinner. Yay, rice. I'm so excited. Let's see. Casey said, I've got an idea for another quick live stream like the zombie snail, a cartoon version of chicken in a chef hat. Yeah, that actually would be cute. Well, I like the cartoony thing. I like doing that. Well, maybe because I love the concept of a zombie snail has always been adorable to me. Not the real ones, because those are terrifying. It turns out that's a thing. Thank you guys for giving me nightmares. But anyway, I definitely like the idea of more of those. I had a lot of fun painting him, for sure. Daniela said, thanks for your advice. For some reason, I don't approach painting the way I did colored pencil. I think I expect acrylics to be quick. I need to get rid of that mentality. And that is a good point. Don't rush it. That is the mistake I made. So I started primarily, I used colored pencils some. I used a few different mediums, but acrylics were really what I started with, or that I focused on. And I had this in my head where I would see these amazing paintings. I only did marine life to start with, like seascapes and stuff. So underwater scenes, a lot of that, fish, corals. I had in my head, I would look at these amazing things like Christian Lassen did and these other artists, and they look like photographs of that coral, or kind of cartoony-ish photographs. And like, these are amazing. And I would get this big sponge that you can paint with. And I'm like, there's my coral, and just sponge it on and expected to spend 5 minutes and have it look like what should have taken 2 weeks. 5 minutes, 2 weeks. You're not going to get the same results. I don't care how good you are, 5 minutes versus 2 weeks of work. So maybe not 2 weeks, but you get the point. So that is a good point. It's just slowing down, taking the time to put in the little detail. You can't rush it. Things are faster in acrylics for sure. You get that base layer down, but you still have to go back and get all of those details. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for the thumbs ups. Oh, that's a lot of them. Thank you so much. Let's see. Yep, we are good. We are done. This one actually, so this is also a really good point with Inktense. What you are seeing on screen is almost exactly what I'm seeing here, and that is almost never the case. How many times can I say almost? It is almost never the case when I'm doing an acrylic painting or color. Like, the color is always iffy. This, because of the way that it's matte and there's no reflection, there's nothing picking up on there. Like, this is very accurate. My reds are a little bit more red than the orange that I'm seeing here, but that may just be an issue of my computer screen there. But for the most part, this looks like what the finished result did. If you guys remember, was it Friday? God, that seems like it was so long ago. We did that pear. What the pear looked like on the video, and the lighting kept changing, so that was not making things easy for me just as we work on the day on those. But what it looked like on the video was nothing like what it looked like in person. Like, I actually liked it in person. On the video, I'm like, this looks embarrassingly bad. So I took photos and I posted them on Instagram and Facebook, because it was like, I don't want people to think that's the best I can do. Like, come on. Obviously a live stream is never going to be the best I can do. Time is limited, but yeah, that was, speaking of, actually, I want to show you really quick. This is one of the things that I do like if you want to get something more opaque to show up with Inktense blocks. Look how I can get a highlight there. The pencils will not do that. So you can do that for little final details. I find that I do kind of like the blocks for just loose. It's going to be bumpy. You're not going to get smooth blending. I will not go over this with a water brush, because it would just kind of turn into a weird mess, but that will show up. Kind of a nice thing with these. Pretty handy. Let's see. What is on my nails? Also, thanks for the stream, Skylar. It is. Oh, I need to do them tonight, so they would look like crap. Well, it's upside down. White roses and a little skull with little black roses next to his head. Halloween. I have to do something else with them tonight because they are peeling. Anyway, thank you so much. Make sure to check out Joseph and Nick's channels. They are the moderators for, I'd say tonight, but for all the time. They are always here moderating. Their channels are linked in the video description. They've got awesome channels. Nick just had his first live stream on yesterday. God, that feels far away. It has been the busiest time. So anyway, check them out. Links are in the description. And yeah, that is it. I don't think we have anything else. Nope. We're done. I'm going to go eat dinner. Bye, guys. Thanks again for joining. Oh, and check out the merch. We have fun t-shirts. Bye.